Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute and sit in my chair. I'll tell you how I became the queen of doing bomb-ass hair. On the west side of Kauai is where I stay. In the salon doing hair is where I spend most of my days. Trimming up, blowing out, feeling all cool, making sure my clients stay out of the pool. When a couple of stylists say, yo, you want food? My client jumped in the spray tan tent completely nude. I got a brilliant idea, I said as I buttoned my flannel. Let's all get on this YouTube channel. I thought about it every day until it was so clear. My clients love to talk story as they stare into the mirror. All genders, all ages, all walks of life, telling me everything from overcoming joys to the deepest of strife. This garden island might be small and not very long or wide, but the stories, they go deep and it's not easy to hide. So if you're bored at home with nothing to do, join us for an hour or two, 3 at most, before we'll go too late. On second thought, nah, I'm a single mom, I ain't got no date. Ask us anything you want, we're an open book, and I'll be playing with hair to achieve my client's luck.
Oh my god, I love that. Okay. I think we're live.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, welcome to Therapy with Kels and
Kels. Hello. Today our guest is Kelsie, our first guest of the first therapy show. And this is going to be really fun, you guys. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask anything at any time. And Rose should be monitoring, so she will throw them out there as we go. We do have a couple other people in the studio today. It's we have Kat, our lovely hairstylist extraordinaire, world traveler.
Hi.
And
Mahina.
Mahina, but we call her Dana. But Mahina means moon in Hawaiian, and she is a podcaster herself.
Yes, ma'am.
She's gonna have some input. For now, they're just gonna be ghosts in the mirror behind us. But right, you ready to start this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Kelsie here is going to have her first color done on her hair. She's a surfer chick from San Diego, right?
From San Diego, from Encinitas.
I was like you're from Hawaii.
No, but I'm recently finishing up my first year of nursing school. So it is very much hospital hair now. We'll just call it that.
I have so many nurses that come to me in here.
So we're gonna blonde it up.
A lot of traveling nurses lately.
Oh yeah, that's where the money is.
But you're stuck in school for years and years, right?
It's gonna be another year and a half. Yeah.
When did you start?
I started in the summer.
This past summer.
This past summer.
Wow.
So I'm at Kauai Community College, just up the road here on Island.
Okay. I'm gonna turn you a little bit like this. And how old are you?
I am pushing 30, girl.
She's pushing 30, but she looks like she's. You look like you're like still a teenager.
Thanks.
I know that in a
love
good
it.
way. In a good way.
Girl, I'm 30 in May.
Oh my gosh, 30.
30.
Which are you gonna leave Island? Go somewhere else for that?
I might.
There's nothing really to do here.
I'm debating.
There's
What I
nothing
really
fun
want to do is go to Greece. I want to get a boat and go to Greece.
and just sail around.
And just sail those islands.
Oh my gosh, what is that? The Maldives?
No.
Like,
No, I went to
I'm
Maldives.
horrible with geography. That I would cry in my
No,
in
the
class.
Maldives are like West Sumatra, Indonesia area.
Okay.
So kind of by like you know where Jakarta is?
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
west of that. Those
Okay.
islands.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna get her hair separated. She has been in school. Normally Kelsie is a white-haired towhead, but currently because she's been in school and everybody's been kind of stuck inside with this whole pandemic bullshit stuff going on, everybody's been coming to me with really grown out hair, or they fucked their own hair up, or their hair is so dark and doesn't look like they belong in the Hawaiian Islands at all. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have some mimosas here, so if anybody's watching wants to
Cheers.
feel free to grab a mimosa, Saturday mimosa with us.
Yeah, girl.
This is fresh squeezed Tangelo juice from Omal, which is a little neighborhood up the street. I squeezed it myself this morning, but I didn't squeeze the rum.
But the rum is local.
But the rum is local. It's Kaloa Rum. They are the official sponsors of the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yes, they are. Oh, we got David Avocado Wolf calling. Hello, David. I am live streaming right now. We're going to show your commercial during the break. We're live streaming right now. Yeah, I guess. This is my first broadcast, so obviously I'm like not very good at it. I'm broadcasting out of Hanapepe, out of the salon. What are you doing, rambling around your farm? It sounds like you're picking avocados right now.
Play the commercial while you're talking to him.
Okay, so David, I will show your commercial as soon as we go to break. Yeah, David should come down, right, you guys? David should come down and join us.
Oh, heck yes, but don't cut his hair. He has beautiful curls that should not be tampered with.
How much will somebody give me if I shave David Avocado Wolf's head?
Perish the thought. Blasphemy.
Just kidding. Yeah, we're in Hanapepe. We're under Culture Tattoo, right on the river. Hanapepe River. Yes, I'll send the address. All right, bye. Anybody watching know David Avocado Wolf?
Yeah, everybody knows David Avocado Wolf. So, Kelsie, while we're waiting for David Avocado Wolf to arrive for your episode 1 of therapy, what you should do is you should let your audience know why you are doing this and what the goal of the episode is today with your guest, Kelsie.
Okay, so my goal is, let me give David my address. Okay. Big green building.
This is called Dead Air, Kelsie.
Okay, got it. All right. So our purpose is, I have a lot of clients from all over, from like different ages, different genders, so many different genders. And everybody has their own viewpoints on what's going on with the world right now with the pandemic. People are coming from all different backgrounds, whether they grew up here on the island or they grew up somewhere in the United States or outside of the United States. I just hear different viewpoints every single day, and whether or not I believe in what they believe in, we have some really good conversations in here. So I just want to talk to Kelsie here about what she thinks about the pandemic, especially being a nurse and being new to the nursing practice. She's about to, when you're graduating soon, right?
One more year.
One more year, and she's going to graduate. But so let's get into it. You said you're 20, you're about to turn 30.
Yes.
From San Diego.
Moved to Kauai 7 years ago.
7 years ago. Did your parents live here, right?
They live here now. Yeah, I was so fortunate. Right when I moved, my parents visited, and just like so many people do when they come to the Hawaiian Islands, they're like, I'm going to move there one day, you know?
Yeah.
Like one day. And about a month later, I get a call from my mom, and she's like, yeah, we're going to be visiting you again. And little did I know, they were already packing a Matson container and like getting things ready. So now we live like 5 minutes from each other. So it's great.
That is awesome.
Beautiful. So yeah, I started getting into the health profession about a year ago. I used to lifeguard in San Diego. So I guess that's when that started. I was an EMT lifeguard, did all that. And I really loved helping people and saving people. I ran the junior lifeguard program out there. And so when I moved to Hawaii, I kind of just didn't do any of that. I became a boat captain, did the tourist attraction stuff. And then when the pandemic hit, it was just like, what am I doing? Just, catering to tourism, which is great, but
did you lose your job? Did you have to?
I lost my job. It was just so unpredictable at that time.
Where were you? You were lifeguarding?
No, I was here when the pandemic hit. I was a boat captain.
Oh, right.
Doing tours on the Nepali coast. So for those of you that don't know where that is, it's on Kauai. But
that's hard to get your captain's license.
It is. It's about a 4-month process.
And it's a grueling 4-month process,
yes.
Right?
Yeah. So like you're learning how to chart waters. You're learning about different knots. I mean, everything like that.
And as a female getting into that profession, it's like, because I have a lot of friends that have tried to get into it, and then they end up getting like, it's kind of like the kid in high school that gets like bullied until they just end up leaving that school. Like the girls who get bullied until they end up just quitting that job.
It's very male dominant arena. And being in Hawaii, it's like there's not a lot of haole girls, as we call them. So it was
haole is a term that we use for white people.
Mm-hmm.
It means without breath. Or some people use it like it is an enduring term, and some people it's a derogatory term. It just depends on how you're saying it and who you're saying it to.
Yeah, it's all about intent. Actually, when Crow was on Kauai, he wore a shirt that said haole, and it kind of like diffused the awkwardness, and it was cool.
Right. I had a hat made up the street at this place called Bad Hats that you can like have anything you want made right then and there. And it said Hollywood on it. And I would wear it everywhere, and people would give me the most dirty looks for wearing that hat. But
yeah,
I thought it was
it's
funny.
more about like the representation, you gotta be confident in what you look like, who you are, where you come from. Which is, I feel like, sorry to jump topic, but I feel like that's such like an important thing right now, because people will move anywhere in the world and they try to just adapt, which is great, but then it's like they lose who they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of acting like you're from here, people appreciate that you don't do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that will move over here. We were talking about it yesterday, where it's like how we be like go home Howley. And during the pandemic, I feel like a lot of people that had lived here for 15, 20 plus years, if they were a white person and they saw a new white person to town, or they thought it was a new white person, they would get in their face, ask them where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
People were very on edge, and they were using that racism in a way that was like way over the top. I mean, because it was always here, but oh my gosh, I had clients that said they were having people come up to them in the parking lot at PK's. Where are you from? Where do you work? Like, yeah. How long have you lived here? Just trying to find out other people's statuses, it's just sad. But
so yeah.
anyways,
you
stopped
when
working
the
at
pandemic hit, I just like so many people reevaluated what the hell they were doing with their lives. And I made that choice right then, just to be like, I'm going to get back into nursing. That was like my lifelong passion. I wanted to do that, and did all my prereqs and just got on board as quickly as possible.
What a crazy time to get back to get into nursing during the pandemic.
It's like my calling, girl. I can't wait.
But how was it? Like, so you started school.
I started school. I went to school in San Diego. Luckily, I had a lot of my groundwork done. Like my math, my English, my core science.
And that doesn't expire. Like that sticks with you. You could always
it hadn't expired yet, so I was still in the running to complete it. And then I got more prereqs done and got accepted to KCC. And that was it.
Was that during the time that all the nurses were like in New York, were dancing around, and people were saying that the hospitals were full of bodies, but then you saw like videos of people that were like, it was completely empty, the hospitals.
That was a very surreal time. But being out here, it's like we didn't have a lot of that, right? We had barely had any COVID patients.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like just since recently we haven't had a lot of COVID on island. So I knew being here, going to school, it was more of a safe haven, and that like later on I'll move and go to a big metropolitan and do my time. But it was heartbreaking seeing, nurses breaking down after their third or fourth 12-hour shift.
Yeah. Or committing suicide.
Or they can't see their kids when they go home. They haven't seen their kids in 2 weeks because they don't want to touch them or get them infected, or
just living in fear.
It's such a crazy thing. And but then I have a lot of nurses too who, they have a very different outlook on the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
They understand wearing masks at a hospital setting there's a purpose to it.
Right.
But every day going out, going in the sun, going to the beach, it's just as long as you're following your hygiene.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy that the government was like telling people, make sure you wash your hands and make sure you do this. It's like, that should all just be going on all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I stopped washing my hands in March of 2020 as an act of rebellion. I haven't washed my hands ever since.
That's what my little sister Bailey said too. She's like, she has 4 kids, and she's like, I was really hoping that I would have had COVID. She got really sick, and she went and got tested, and it was negative. And she just wants a break from her kids. So she's like, I don't understand. I never wear a mask. I hardly ever wash my hands. What does a girl got to do to get COVID around here?
Yeah. It's just being more aware of your situation, your surroundings.
Well, here's one thing that somebody had said in here, and I thought this was really I thought it was very profound to say, what about having, as soon as COVID happened, the pandemic, and then they're pushing a vaccine, right? They're pushing this experimental drug onto us and telling us to wash our hands and all of this stuff. Why not just a whole world reset of health? Like, let's turn around and take a look at how we've been living. Health promotion, what we've been doing, and what we can do in the future to.
And a lot of it isn't COVID. A lot of it is diabetes. A lot of it is hypertension.
Pretty much none of it is COVID.
It's all related in one way or the other.
Well, if the government cared that much about our health, they would ban cigarettes and alcohol and
Absolutely.
fast food, and they would have put a stop to a lot of other things too. So
Absolutely.
It's pretty interesting.
I believe there's agenda behind all of this. There definitely is.
Yeah,
whether or not it started out as an agenda, it definitely is turning into an agenda of whichever side you look at it.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of people that started out living in fear, wanting to listen to anything that the government was that this corporation was pushing onto us. And now they're kind of wait a second, wait a tick. There's something else going on here, because it doesn't really seem to be much about health as it is about compliance,
Yeah, power.
And that is scary when you're thinking about it. So, and being in the hospital setting, and there must be people from such great, different polarized perspectives.
And amazing minds too. It's just that's been the weirdest thing going into the hospital, where you have surgeons, you have nurses, 20 plus years, almost about to retire. They've seen so much in medicine that has happened.
Are some of them
and they're both on opposite they're on opposite ends. And as a new nurse, I'm stepping in going, holy,
who do I? Yeah, but you have to just use your own discernment, right?
You pull. It's really like going into politics right now, going into the hospitals.
Oh my goodness, politics and medicine.
You don't know who to believe, but you know that both sides have seen different stories and had different patients, and it's going to be a very interesting time the next 5 years while we pull out of this pandemic. I mean, if I feel like we're just going to it's just going to be around forever. COVID, it's not going away.
Here's the thing: is that we've had pandemics. We're on par. Every 100 years we have a pandemic, but we've never had one during the time of social media and during the shitstorm of this politics that we've been thrown into. And so I think that it will be around forever, because as long as social media is driving society, which it totally has, we're not gonna get away from it for anything,
Yeah.
So okay, let's talk about other things right now. Let's move on to let's talk about relationships.
Oh,
what was the worst relationship you've ever had, and why? And what did you learn from it? What did you what was your biggest takeaway from it?
So I feel like my last relationship was my longest, and I mean, just like all relationships, you have great times and you have terrible times. Yeah. But the more it progressed, the more of those swings, those like good time, bad times, they were becoming less. And it was just more of like this steady blah. Like no one was happy. No one was challenging one another. We weren't learning how to love each other. You were like brother anymore. And sister. It was like, yeah, we were like roommates. And it was just,
how long was your relationship?
7 years. And I feel like after like the 4th year, if you don't get butterflies still, like I should have just walked.
That's a long time. 7 years.
It was a long time.
Yeah, that's like your entire youth right there.
It was, majority of my 20s. I was with one guy and I don't regret anything. It was just, I learned so much about myself. So yeah.
So like after things ended, were you just like, what do I do with myself?
Well, I felt very unconfident. Like I was the one that ended it, but I felt like if I'm going to end this relationship, I'm going to go reach for the stars after, you know, like I'm going to do what I've been wanting to do. Like I had a girlfriend and she's like, Kelsie, you're single for the first time in a long time. So this needs to be this is your yes year. Like you got to say yes to everything. You know, if someone wants you to go to Mexico, then say yes. If you want to go to
even though you have like, you know, that butterflies in your stomach when you think about it.
And it's such a weird feeling because when you're with someone for so long and you just have like this loneliness, you know, you feel lonely. Yeah. And you got to just push past that. And
that's the worst feeling when you're in a relationship, but you feel like you're single, you know? It's like horrible.
Yeah.
I hate that. But so when did that ended during the pandemic?
That ended, gosh.
Like before you went back to nursing
Way
school?
Before, yeah. A few years before.
Oh, okay.
But now I'm with a new guy and I'm absolutely in love with him.
But what did you learn about like being in a relationship for 7 years and then feeling like after 4 it was blah, or do you wish that like you would have just left them there?
Yeah, I wish I would have just left, like for my sake and for his sake. But how I am, I try to stick out relationships to the very end. Like I try to utilize all my resources and try to not really change him, but just, you know, like, I don't know. I'm a heartthrob.
Older, wiser opinions.
Let's get some advice from the aunties.
Yes. Someone wrote a book about this, and it's in your salon called "Stop Settling."
Yeah, good. Let's talk more. Where's our?
And we have the author right here in the salon.
We have a love and relationship expert.
Don't put up with that shit.
Yeah, right. There they are.
We couldn't help ourselves. We were really trying to be good over here. And if I can put my 2 cents in, who am not an author, but just a hairdresser, that's all I am. I find...
Hey, that's a noble career right there.
Amen. Sister.
We're therapists and doctors and scientists.
Beautiful every day, inside and out. But I think that I think I've come to, and it's just personal for me. If you're looking for love, you're going to find it in all the wrong places. Amen. If you love yourself, the true entity,
the power of attraction,
will come to you.
Yeah.
If you're in this space where I heard you say, I'm not trying to change them, but you are. Instead of just loving them for who they are. Now, I'm a weirdo. And if you can love me, you're the best person in the world. But you get what my drift. If you love yourself, you're going to draw that kind of energy and that kind of entity into your life. But you've got to have your own time alone between relationships to find who you are and what you really want. And I'm decades old, so, you know, it takes time. Preach. And now we'll shut up and you guys go.
But you've been single for a while now, right, Kat? And you travel.
Yes.
So you just do whatever you want whenever you want. Yeah, basically.
That's correct. And why not? Even if you're in a loving relationship, why should you settle for, oh, maybe he won't want me to do this even though I really want to. And then you compromise yourself for something that he could probably care less about in the long run.
And isn't capable of anyway, the poor guy. Change.
Yeah. And so honestly, it's direct communication. Direct communication from the beginning. This is what I want.
Kelsie, I told you my second and final husband on our first date. I said, I'm not your mother and I'm not your fucking therapist. Still want to go? And he's like,
Still want to go?
Yeah. And here we are, 7 years later, without the 7-year itch.
I
love it.
Okay.
Okay, you guys go.
Yeah,
We're good. I just had.
We were gonna explode our impulse.
Yes, we have to talk.
Advice from the auntie. Oh, well, okay. So the
The
aunties.
old aunties.
So if you wanted to read a couple of the comments, I'm gonna go grab some more foils, and then you can answer here. Oh, I think you know what? I think that's Rose right here saying these things.
Yeah, if I let's go back to the topic here and look for the comments that people
Okay, Rose, do you want to ask Kels a couple questions, and I'm gonna go grab some more foils for her hair?
Yeah, I'm okay. Well, my first question would be, if you're going to be a nurse, what's going to happen? Are you prepared for when they try to force unwanted medical procedures on you? Or how are you prepared to deal with this system that is obviously committing genocide on the world? And how would you feel if you saw a doctor order remdesivir on a patient, which killed 50% of the people in an Ebola trial and now causes 30% renal failure? How are you going to handle the fact that you will have to follow orders of doctors who are so brainwashed that they are killing people? Because if you did that, that would make you complicit in their death.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, it's all about ethics. You know, if you're doing that, that's malpractice. And right now, I know I've been reading a lot of journals with lawsuits going on. And at the bottom line, you have a right. You took an oath to help people, and it's your morals, and it comes down to your ethics. And I feel like a lot of nurses right now are not figuring that out, but they're just reevaluating what are their ethics. And that's why you see so many nurses that have left the industry.
That's right.
So I know a lot, there's a lot of work going into long-term cares, organic long-term care. I have a girlfriend on island that lives in Moloa'a, and she's trying to buy a beautiful piece of land up there. And we're going to try to start like a long-term care, but all organically grown. I mean, you have these like feeding tubes, and there's nasty ass shit they put in these feeding tubes. And when these people get these procedures, invasive procedures where they get ostomies put in and they're getting pumped this nasty sugar. I mean, it's disgusting reading the labels on these food products. And you're wondering, is this really helping them? You know, they're getting a lot of calories and a lot of glucose, but it's not helping them. You know,
that is amazing to hear. I am so happy to hear that you're thinking about different kinds of natural and holistic approaches, because now is the time, whether we like it or not, that there's gonna have to be some kind of breakaway society where we're gonna have to have our own hospitals. For example, a lot of people who are not wanting to be murdered in the hospital are now going to Amish hospitals that are taking care of both the Amish and the English, but it's cash only. And so what we need to do is we need to protect ourselves from corporate bureaucracy that is now the way where it's like systemic genocide, by having our own protections. Like there's something called a private member association. Have you ever heard of a PMA? So you can create a hospital where you have members you.
Got her tinfoil hat on.
Let me just look at your okay.
I've got her tinfoil hat going.
No, I'm listening, Rose. I'm listening.
Yeah, I'm saying that if you were another idea is that if, let's say, you start a farm, because that's my dream come true, is to have a quote unquote hospital, but you know, it's actually people that are.
And you have skilled workers. I mean, you have licensed nurses. You have a doctor that comes and visits. You know, just like they do in long-term care. You know, once a week, or you do a monthly checkup. You know, with your patients. But it's, you know, you have honey in the back growing their own. You know, bees growing honey in the back. You have. You know, you're growing your own food products in the back, and you're not getting this mass-produced glucose crap.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the more that I dip my feet into the medical field, the more I'm seeing how awful some aspects are of it.
Well, the private member association is a really great alternative that a lot of a lot of people who are called naturopaths, they don't even want to be called a naturopath anymore because even the
No.
naturopaths are pushing the poison. So there are lots of options, and you could totally email me and I will send you everything you need to know to protect yourself, because right now the insurance companies are controlling the doctors and saying, we're not going to let you cover your patient's insurance if you don't force them to get mammograms, colonoscopies, vaccines, and there's just so much pressure from the insurance companies. So that's why I love your idea of getting doctors, nurses, and all the people that don't agree with all of the evil that's going on to come together to really create a space for true healing, which just basically getting the nutrition you need and detoxing your liver and colon. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be a huge movement, whether you people like it or not. Healthcare is going to be revolved in different ways. The way healthcare is right now in the United States, it's very multi-payer. Even though they say, oh yeah, you have options, you have all these options, you really don't. It's all umbrellaed under the federal government. And until we start having more private sector options for people to sign up for with the same amount of quality care and the same client outcomes, I mean, we're just going to be going down this rabbit hole of getting boosters. And there's no science behind any of these boosters about long-term effects. So I think the more options we have on the table and the more research that comes out from natural healing, the better off a lot of us are going to be. And I know when I'm older, I'm worried about what is it going to be like when I'm in my 50s, when I'm in my 80s, what's medical going to look like? So,
Yeah.
Well, one part of the system is going to be creating either lifelong chronic illnesses to keep them as constant customers. And then the other system is going to be completely separate, probably cash only, with private member associations where, let's say that I'm in a community and everybody's paying $30 a month. Okay. And that's going to cover
That's like what
your
Grafting's
own
doing.
insurance, and it's your own protections. And then you can protect yourself in all different sorts of ways. So I would just say that I'm so glad that you care about healing people, and just don't let anyone bully you into following orders that you'll have to live with yourself for the rest of your life, because all it takes is one shot for someone to suffer those consequences for the rest of their lives. But enough about all this schwaxine, quaxine stuff. Let's get to, how about the nature of our reality? Have you ever heard of flat Earth?
I have. And it's funny you say that, because when I used to be a boat captain, I would have guests come out, and I mean, we're in the Pacific Ocean. You can't see anything around Hawaii or Kauai. If you've ever been here, everywhere you look and point, there's 3,000 miles to the next piece of land. And so people would come out on the boat and be like, honey, this is it. Like, I knew, like, this is flat. It's flat. The Earth is flat. And so I'm interested to see what you have to say about this topic.
Well, Kelsie, take it away. What happened in March of 2020, and what do you think?
In March of 2020, she told me that, and this is my best friend, Rose, that I grew up with, and I've known and trusted since we were little, and I will always trust, and she told me, I'm into flat Earth, but in different ways, and would you like to come on my show and meet David? And I was like, well, we're all in quarantine right now. It was that boring time. The island was shut down. Nobody was working. The salon was shut down. I was at my friend Michelle's house, and there was just a load of us just hanging out every day. And that Flat Earth documentary came out on Netflix, which I guess is bullshit. Like, I think it's just put out there to me, right? Isn't that Flat Earth documentary on Netflix just a bunch of bullshit, Rose? Like, it's
Behind the Curve documentary on Netflix is the epitome example of what's called a hit piece. So it's where everyone involved, had no idea that the way that they were going to edit it was to make them look dumb. Yeah. And actually to demonstrate the opposite.
It's kind of like Tiger King.
Or like the mermaids. Did you see the mermaid one?
No, I didn't see that one.
No, the mermaid one?
There's a mermaid documentary. Yeah, it's
and it's about people that believe in mermaids.
Yes, underwater world of mermaids.
And these people are like really serious that they're like this?
No, they say that there was the sonar, Navy sonar in the ocean, just I think up in the Pacific Northwest region. And then all these whales got washed up. And then amongst the whales, there was a mermaid. And that's how it starts.
Okay, well, that's what people you know, like now that I got into this, like, or not got into, but now that I'm enveloped in this other world of people like that are into flat earth and conspiracies and this and that, now I hear stuff like this and I'm like, I want to laugh, but then I don't want to laugh because that's what happens when you tell somebody about flat earth, you know? Or they get really angry. Like if you were trying to tell somebody right now there's mermaids, you were like, say you're at Quo Landing and you're like the guy next to you, like, no, there's really mermaids. Some people would actually get really fucking angry.
Like they've got more mad about flat Earth though, Kelsie. Don't you think that people would be more mad about flat Earth than mermaids because
the
mermaids compromises the worldview?
Well, Rose, these people on my boat, like I was trying not to laugh when they were telling each other like, this is it, we've made it to the end of the world, like this is flat, like, and
were they on mushrooms?
No, they were like maybe in their 60s, and they've lived a very well, sought out life, and they're successful, and they made it to Kauai. It was their anniversary, and then they were just so impressed on how flat the water is.
Were they flat earthers already? Or
yes, they were complete believers. I mean,
but the way they were saying it sounded like they were just like they figured it out for the first time.
Yeah, it was like they were in church and they were out on the boat,
and they were telling everybody about.
Yes, they were.
Okay, so they're preaching it to everyone on the boat.
Oh yeah, and I felt like if somebody were to correct them, they were just gonna freak out. And so, luckily, no one did on my boat, or else that would have been another little war episode.
But people were just all looking at each other like, what is going on?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of looks at me, a lot of looks at them.
Okay, so
did they give a reason, or were they just standing in awe, not really feeling like it was necessary to explain themselves, or did they try to give them?
I want to say they were from like Idaho area. So, I mean, they didn't live on a coastline, but for their whole life, it seemed like they believed the earth was flat.
Oh, so this was like the first time they made it like out to the ocean?
Yeah, I think so. I like the boat that I was driving, it was a Zodiac, 25-foot Zodiac. So engines are loud, we're constantly moving. So not a lot of time to really like converse and get down and dirty, talk about things.
Yeah.
So it was just, I would hear tidbits in conversation with them and the other guests. So it's, social experiment hour.
So Rose invited me to go on her show and I was like, okay, that sounds like something to do since we're all inside. And I wanted, like, I love everything she has to say. I find her very interesting. So it's like, she's almost like I told you she's Doc and I'm Marty. But she's like the mother where I'm like, tell me a bedtime story, mommy. Like, that's Rose. And so she invited me on the show and I went outside of my friend Michelle's house in the backyard because everybody was inside her living room and I just wanted to have some peace and quiet. And so we had a good time. She told me about flat earth. I came with my little notebook of questions and I didn't have any expectations. I was like, whatever. And I walked back into the house afterwards and everybody, all the girls, this group of local girls, they were like, oh, what? So now you believe in flat earth? Ha 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 ha. Like they were laughing at me and I was like, no, whatever. And so then I was, I told people about it because I have no shame in my game. I was at my daughter's birthday party and she had her friend's parents around. I'm like, have you guys heard of flat earth? And this, and my friend believes in this. And, it was this new concept to me. And this was in March of 2020. So it was not that long ago, but it was all very new to me. And, I didn't put that much like weight into it. Mm-hmm. And then the reactions that I was getting from these people were like, first of all, if we ended up having a conversation later down the road about politics or something, they would be like, oh yeah, and the earth is flat. They would use it against me like, stupid idiot, even though I didn't say this is what I believe, I just said I went on a show and my friend told me that she believes this. It was still like I was guilty by association. One guy got so mad and I've never even seen him get upset or like raise his voice. He put his fingers in my face and was like, fuck you, I know math, I know science. Jesus fucking Christ. Like he was like so pissed. So I had already decided, I had gotten dumped by Ethan in November last year. And I was like, I got dumped by a 40-year-old man with a hairy back.
From here.
47-year-old man.
He lives here. Yeah.
With a lisp, who's shorter than me. And I was so upset. And, I was just like, that was the worst November ever. Just being dumped. And I hate the dating apps. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to make my own. And I have a friend in Santa Barbara who's a developer. So I called him up and I was going to make a speed dating app, which is still actually in the works right now. It's just kind of on hold. Meanwhile, I'm getting all these weird reactions from the whole flat earth concept. And so I was like, you know what? There's 100,000 flat earthers in the world that are out. Coming out as a flat earther is the equivalent of coming out as being gay in the 50s. Like, that's just how it is. Mm-hmm. And so the people that are out, there were some of my friends, and I won't name names because I know you know them, but they were like, oh yeah, they're flat earthers too. And I've known them for 10 years and they never told me.
Really?
Because of the reactions. And I can see why they wouldn't say anything, because they just don't want to discuss it. The way people view them afterwards is
and it's a personal, just like any opinions or subjects. It's
Meet
personal.
the new woman.
Hello. Look at this lovely lady.
Yeah.
Woo.
Wow, boom.
You can look her book up. Her book is called Do Not Set. What is it called?
Stop settling.
Settle
Settle smart.
Yeah, settle smart.
Redefine work-life balance. It's a myth, and I'm 54.
You.
Yeah. She's a podcaster too. So she's got a lot going on.
She does.
Well, okay. So I want to tell Kelsie number 2, because we've got Kelsie squared.
Let's call her thing 1, thing 2.
Thing 1, thing 2.
We're gonna talk. So thing 2. So my boyfriend Jason is the co-host of a very large podcast that reaches people all over the world for the free first hour.
Okay.
And I was introduced to the idea of flat earth and I thought it was completely ridiculous and I just didn't give it my attention. I just wouldn't take the time to look into it because I just felt like I already had all of the knowledge and information I needed to make the assumption based on trusting all of the authoritative figures from my past. And so my boyfriend was invited to do a talk on social engineering at a conference, a flat earth conference. And I was so embarrassed. I didn't want anyone to know that I was even going there because of the documentary Behind the Curve on Netflix. I was afraid of being caught on camera and then edited in and, made, just exploited in some way. And so I basically just stayed in the car rolling joints and stayed in the hotel. I didn't go to the VIP dinner and meet all of the people that are now like my best friends. And I just went into the building for Jason's presentation. So that's where I was at November of 2019. But then when I came back to Louisiana, we have a camera called a P1000 that is like a super zoom. And every single day for a while, Jason and I would go to this place called Sunset Point in Mandeville on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain and see if we could zoom in on New Orleans, because Jason was thinking that if we could zoom in on the roof of the Superdome, it would be so obvious because there's nothing else that looks like that. It's like this big white roof. It just couldn't be any other building. And so because of the atmosphere, we tried and tried and tried, but one day it was clear enough. And we zoomed in on the roof of the Superdome, which is 273 feet tall. And at 33.5 miles away, according to the heliocentric model of 8 inches per mile squared, the Superdome should have been hidden by the quote unquote geometric horizon by a lot. So I reasoned that maybe we just are on a bigger ball. And then there's like hidden lands. And that's why they don't care about chemtrailing and poisoning us, because they can just go to like the other side of Antarctica. But then there was more things that I looked into that I realized that we have been lied to about everything and there's no detectable curvature. If you ask someone who like is really into like believing in the heliocentric model, they'll say, oh, that's called refraction. It's a special kind of refraction called standard refraction, and it's lifting the image of the building up into the air so that you can see it. But light actually doesn't bend like that. And that equation is based on the radius of the Earth. but we've only dug 8 miles down, so we have no proof of the radius of the Earth. So it's all based on things that we can't prove, like the sun being 93 million miles away and the moon being 239,000 miles away. Yet like a clock in a cyclical event, even though the Earth is expanding every so often, they look like the same size and they like merge into an eclipse. Right. And if you take a telescope and you actually look at a solar eclipse, you can't even detect the moon approaching the sun. Now, if the sun is the brightest thing that we know of, then wouldn't it backlight the moon as it's approaching? So there's something up. And what my boyfriend Jason always says is that there's major inconsistencies. And Jason is not even a self-proclaimed flat earther. And even the other co-host, Crow, is not a self-proclaimed flat earther, because he would just rather say that the world is misdescribed because we don't have a provable model. But me, the reason why I love calling myself a hardcore, full-blown flat earther is because I'm so angry at all of the lies and deception in the government. And it's like a way of me stating that I am not going to wear a mask. I will never be vaccinated. I will never be tricked. I'll never fall for any of these hoaxes. Wearing a flat earth is like a badge of honor that you have accepted the fact that everything you've ever been taught is a lie. So that's why I enjoy that. Is there anything you want to add to that, Jason?
Well, there are a lot of.
Hey, Jason.
Well,
I didn't know Jason was there. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm awesome. So
Good.
my term for everything is inconsistencies, meaning that there are things that you can look at and they just don't add up. I don't think any one of them singled out really proves anything. And honestly, all of them together don't prove anything other than the fact that something's not right. Like things are not what apparently we're told they are. Now, one of the big ones I always look at are things like NASA. A lot of the stuff that I've seen from NASA looks fine. It is what they say it is. However, then there are things that crop up where it's very obvious fakery. Now, you guys don't know me. Well, Kelsie knows me. But I'm really into film and stuff like that. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I've looked a lot into how putting films together work and all that. And there are very obvious signs of those kinds of things in certain footage. A very good example, a recent example, even without even looking at the old stuff where the Earth looks different in every freaking picture, is the ISS station. There's been more than one like live broadcast, I guess they were, where the astronauts are doing what they do. They're floating about, talking on camera, and the background looks like what it should. It's the ISS. So they're chit-chatting, and then they'll fuzz out, like digitally go kablooey, and the background will be perfectly static. Like it's still there exactly as it was. Well, if all you have is a single camera pointed at whatever, it doesn't matter what, you can't have part of an image disappear and the background stay in place. That's impossible. That would mean that there's multiple layers going on. This is commonly understood, like when say they're showing a clip on CNN and they put their logo on and it says CNN in the corner, that would be a secondary video layer. So we know there's more than one layer there. However, if the astronauts disappear and the background's still there, that's just not possible without, basically it would be a composite screen. It would be like green screening, blue screening, or similar such technologies. Front screen projection is another one, but that's not really used commonly anymore.
Layers like in hair, Jason?
Yes, layers and waves.
Okay, I understand it. You have to
Thank
speak
you.
in first terms.
So it's just things like that. Now, that again doesn't conclusively prove anything other than that they're showing us something that's total poppycock. So I also lead on the theory that it's hypothetically possible.
Oh, David just got here.
David has made it.
Oh, Jason's on right now.
Really?
Yep.
What's
Wow.
up? See you, Kelsie.
Good to see you.
David Avocado, my friend.
Kelsie, nice to meet you. All right. Who's over on the other side? Jason?
Jason and Rose.
Nice.
Howdy.
Yeah. You were
Dude,
just
what's
there
up?
not
Oh,
that
I
long
busted up my
ago.
foot, bro.
David, our stream where we talked about the best water ever was a total hit. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. This is Yogasella.
Hello,
These
Yoga
are the
Saba.
Kelseys.
Hi.
Hi, we're the
Kelsie 1 and
Kelseys.
Kelsie
Nice to
2.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I don't want to go by numbers, the numerical system.
Yeah,
It's like
we have names.
number 1 and 2 is like sounds like there's a first and a second.
1.0.
Thing 1, thing 2.
Are you on Rockfin? No.
No, we're on YouTube.
No, we're gonna get her on Rockfin, but this is her first episode, and we're gonna write the email. But David, right before when you got here, I gave my little shtick about flat Earth, and Jason talked about the inconsistencies with NASA. Do you want to give your take on the nature of our reality and what could possibly be going on here?
Sure. Right now?
I'm doing hair right now. Kelsie this is her first time getting her hair colored
So,
ever. She's a
Everything.
natural
Here's my
blonde.
take on it. This is for
They're all
Kelsie
okay.
number 2 and the natural blonde over here. You're darkening your hair? What are you doing?
She's a nurse, so she's been
I've been
working. She's
inside.
usually she's a boat captain.
Normally I'm
And then
surfing on the water every
Quit
day.
boat captaining during the pandemic and went to nursing school, and now she's been inside. And so this is the first time her hair's been dark. I think it looks really pretty dark, but we're just gonna put some blonde back in.
Mhm.
She's a little
Some bleach
surfer
back
babe.
from the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we broadcasting right now?
You are. You're
Okay.
live.
Okay, so check this out. This is it. This is my take on it. Everything is right in front of our face and everything's totally obvious. That's my take on that. So if you just look at what's right in front of your face, then you'll get the whole flat earth thing and everything. It's just obvious from what's right in front of you. So years ago, I got this idea that if it's the thing that we're not looking at that's right in front of us,
Maybe
that's
they were
the
on
next
boat.
breakthrough. And that was after the grounding stuff. So after the grounding stuff, it was like, oh, it's something super obvious that we're just not paying attention to because it's right in front of our face. And then roll around to 2015, and that's when flat Earth happened for me.
Drop
okay,
and
so here's
roll.
my question, because I'm obviously very new at this topic.
Okay.
Do you think that we ever went to the moon?
No way.
No way.
The moon's not an object. The Earth's not an
I have
object.
ice water.
So
I
what
have
is it?
water.
It's an irrational construct.
Okay.
That's my take on
What
all
was your
reality.
question?
Okay.
Okay, so this is
I
my
didn't
take
get
on
to
all
hear it.
reality.
Just like about United States landed on the moon and they put the flag on, even though there's no wind.
The
and there was
United
slow,
States
all
stands
the-
for the biggest deception in the world history. Check this out.
Did you guys watch the Conan O'Brien clip where he tells what was the guy that was Aldrin or whatever his name?
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I watched you land on the moon. I walked downstairs and my parents had it on the TV." And he said, "No, that was actually we recreated that.
Yeah.
You weren't watching that. You just thought you were because we can't actually film on the
Because
moon."
they have to tell you the truth. This, by the way, I just drank this sugarcane juice. This is the most insane thing ever. Fresh homemade sugarcane juice. Yoga Sella, what do you
You
think?
guys cracked up
I
on
love
sugar.
sugarcane juice. We actually had a special batch of purple
Yeah, there you go,
sugarcane.
Sella. They
I
can't
have
see
ice
you.
water, David.
What you do?
A cold water, yeah.
Cold water. Can I put cold water in a bucket? That would help.
What for your foot?
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Here, I
What'd
can
you
help
do?
on
What happened?
something.
Yeah, Kat, will you help?
Just going to preserve.
Too many waterfalls.
Do you work at the farm?
Yeah, I'm a Noni lander. I've been coming
Noni
down and
lander.
visiting, and I planted a variety of cacao trees out at Noni land.
Tell us what a cacao tree is.
So
Well, tell us what
cacao-
noni is first.
Okay, cacao is what you eat. It's chocolate.
Okay, Noni, that's a good point.
Chocolate's processed. It
Most
all
people
comes
know
from
what
the
that
cacao pod. Noni is a very astringent and cancer fighting superfood, and it grows here naturally in the wilds. Tons of noni fruit, and you can make juices out of it, ferment it, and you even make fruit leathers, which are nice.
Yeah, the fruit
I've never
leathers.
had the Noni fruit leathers
It's
before. Do
so
they taste
good.
okay?
Yeah, the fruit leathers, they're kind of cheesy and
That's a
fermenting.
weird. Yeah. Oh, cheese. Okay.
Well,
like
it
the
smells
smell.
like cheese.
Yeah, it smells like cheese.
Smells
Does
like
it smell like
like
string
a blue,
cheese?
like a blue cheese.
Oh, like a blue cheese.
Like a
Yeah,
rock
because
farm.
when they ferment them, it smells like crap, and people will put them in a bucket and seal it up for like a couple weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks is maybe a little too long, but a few days and they'll start juicing.
A couple weeks would
depending
be
how
really nasty.
how
yeah.
fermented they are or how ripe they are. They
And
just,
they ferment it until it's like brown
Oh, it looks like doo doo.
water. It looks like doo doo, and it smells like a men's locker room that has not been cleaned in maybe 10 years.
But it's really,
And it's really good
very
for
good
you.
for
You
you.
just gotta plug your nose and
Your free
drink it down.
radicals are just zapped from the blood.
yeah. Noni. Noni.
I knew there was a reason why I like the smell of male sweat.
Ew.
Yeah, just embrace it. Embrace that sweat.
Strap to your face.
Nothing like a male locker room and an old ancient book.
Okay. Ew.
Okay.
Or
The
a
old-
new textbook too. Kelsey, you just sniffed your textbook?
Move my phone while I'm doing this broadcast. Is that possible?
Yeah. I can move this. The angle can be.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then I can do my little.
They can just be the commercial.
I can do my little show.
I know we didn't
No, I
really.
got a commercial.
Rose and I were worried about playing the commercial. We were like, because I have other people that wanted to put their commercials in, like
Let me
locals,
tell you about the commercial.
but they don't have it ready yet.
We're so insanely sold out of Nonyland honey. It's ridiculous.
I mean, the commercial that I
Thank
told
you.
you after I saw it, I was like, I want that Nonyland honey. It's a really good commercial.
Oh yes. Okay.
Are you gonna play us something?
Yes.
I love live music.
Let's get warmed up.
Get the
We're
fingers
warming up. We're warming up.
rolled
I'm warming up too. We're gonna be washing Kelsie out shortly, and then that'll be perfect because we'll have live.
Yeah, we'll
music
have live
for everybody.
entertainment for everyone.
Oh, I just squeezed fresh
Tangelo.
Tangelo. If you want Tangelo juice.
Oh, I love Tangelo.
Yeah. Tangelo.
They're so easy to peel. You know, they just come off so easy, and then they just they explode like liquid. It's just like eating juice.
You know what? Let me tell you,
Not
I've
anymore,
always
thanks
been
for that.
around, but you guys are very much opening my viewpoints on this topic. Like,
Oh my gosh, no, there's so much more. So
Did you grow up with Rose in Santa Barbara?
yeah,
Oh, okay. So I lived in Santa Barbara for 5 years.
really.
Yeah, I went to UCSB.
Oh, gauchos, go gauchos.
David,
Yes.
Kelsie went to Isla Vista Elementary, so that's why she is the way she is.
I lived to elementary.
Oh,
I
you're
grew up
kidding.
in Ivy.
Where? What street?
I lived on like every street. My stepdad still has he's not my stepdad anymore, but kind of. He still has an apartment complex on DP.
Really?
Yeah. But all over, we would flip homes. So I would live in sororities and frat houses and then we would move to the next one. Very
That's
interesting.
insane.
But
So I went there. You want to know what years I went there?
sure.
What years did you go?
Well, in '95, I went to UCSB.
Wait, you went to U?
Because you were 10 in 1995.
I know. I was there for gymnastics.
was that not the answer you were thinking of?
I was there.
I went to summer camp at
I
UCSB.
was in gymnastics class, but nobody has to know. I went to UCSB.
I was there from 1988 to 1993.
Okay.
Awesome. Those were the golden years, man. You must have had so much fun partying, man. It was like a party every day. If you saw what happened to Isla Vista now for Halloween, you would just be so disappointed in humanity. There's like huge strobe lights and triages set up and cops on horses and people getting trampled.
Now.
No more fun to be had in IV.
Yeah. There's probably a lot less of the unwanted stuff going on though. Maybe.
You mean like you think that people stopped partying so much and like accidentally dying from fentanyl?
No, that's still happening.
Yeah, that's happening worse.
That's still happening in growing.
So what's different,
Right.
Kelsie?
No, I was just saying a lot less of the like statutory.
I don't think that's changed. Why would that be any different nowadays?
Well, back when we used to party there, and it was like kegs on all the lawns, and you just walk into anyone's house, and like
Yeah. So now it's just like people smushed trying to fit around to walk down the street. Or I don't know. 2006.
Kelsey's from San Diego here. I'm from San Diego too. Back
You
and
too.
forth.
We're part of San Diego.
OB.
And
Oh,
Sanitas,
okay.
baby.
It's Amitas.
I was like People's Market member, and I first became a member in 1994.
Okay. My dad and stepmom live in Rancho Penasquitos right now.
Now, okay.
Okay, so Kelsie, thing one and thing two, we should go back to the topic of flat Earth and talk about the idea of the firmament. Maybe this will blow your mind.
I wanted to finish telling
I got a name on
her.
the firmament.
I wanted to finish explaining to her what, like, so I ended up making a flat Earth dating app.
Yeah. Explain all
We're
that.
using the other app.
Wow.
So that's why I was like, there's 100,000 flat earthers out there that are out of the flat earth closet. And only, I can't think. David's like this little drummer boy over here.
It's your background music.
Well, actually, Kelsie, there's way more than 100,000. There's at least 100,000 that are using David's app, but there's probably millions of flat earthers around the world. Like there's over 1 million in
I
Brazil.
can't hear you. David's drumming, Rose.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Rose.
Okay, she said there's actually a lot more than 100,000.
There's
Yeah,
millions.
Oh yeah, there's millions of flat earthers. It's just that you're only going to see them mocked and ridiculed on mainstream media.
Yeah. So, well, that's
We're
what I
the
was
media
telling
now.
her is
We
that
let that. We're the media now. We flipped that one over. We're the media now. That whatever that is, whatever that mainstream television stuff is, it's too much of an abomination to be considered rational.
Yeah.
It's not entertainment, it's infotainment.
And it's legal for the news to lie. So I don't know why anyone would be surprised when it's exposed.
Well, and we gotta stop telling people that your idea is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Because that is the most fucked up thing I've ever heard.
It's always the opposite.
That is somebody's idea that they believe in. It's not
It's
a
always the
conspiracy.
opposite.
It's looked at as like a frowned upon thing.
Well, and
That's just
conspiracies
terrible.
are real, but then they turn it into conspiracy theorists and make it sound like it's this like
And not they're crazy and psychotic, but it's just their opinion, and people should respect that.
yeah.
When people just say that's a conspiracy, those are people who do nothing but watch TV all day, and they're not open to even considering other topics.
Yeah, but also
Jason, good to hear your voice, dude. How are you?
I've heard people say like, "Oh, flat Earth is a conspiracy," but it's just it's the opinion that a lot of people have on this Earth about the Earth they live on.
It's like saying Jesus Christ is a conspiracy.
Kelsie, you're like the
Yes.
drummer. I'm backing you up right here in the band.
And that's why like, I'm really happy to be
You
a part
can
of
play
this
as soon as
because
I take her to the wash bowl. How about
because
that?
listening to Jason and Rose talk about
That'll be
their
a good
opinion
compromise.
on flat Earth has really opened my eyes about it. So I'm really happy about that.
Oh, that makes me so happy. And it's really refreshing because it seems like ever since all of everything with the COVID hoax began, people really are becoming more open-minded because they've been forced to question their reality. And that's why I felt comfortable opening up to Kelsie about what I had discovered. And Kelsie and I both are very interested in human behavior and why people do the things that they do. So when Kelsie saw the way that people reacted to her on this particular subject, it just made her want to dive in deep more and be like, why are people so triggered by this? And it goes all the way back to laying in our cribs with the mobiles above our heads, being programmed about what space is, when really this place was made for us. We are important, and we're not an insignificant random explosion,
Yeah.
If we don't know where we are, then how could we go anywhere? It's just limiting the human mind from meeting a potential. You don't want to hear something trippy that I think, Kelsie? I think that if we never even came up with a pen and a piece of paper, and that if humanity just lived naturally, by now we would probably be telepathic.
Totally.
We wouldn't.
I love Derek Randall's comment just now. I had to give him a shout out.
Yeah, that guy's cool. I talked to that guy online.
That one, yeah.
That sounds like
Hey,
To Catch a
Kelsie,
Predator.
sounds
or
about
something.
right.
Is this
I talked to that guy online.
Is this the Wyman? What river is this? The
This is
Wyman.
Hanapepe River.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
But I have your website rolling on the ticker at the bottom, Kelsie, so people can go to meetflatearthers.com and join, because what that is
So that's real. There really is a Meet Flat Earther site.
It's an app, yeah. You
That you
join
made.
through the app. You go to the site to download it, and yeah, I made it, and so that everyone can connect, because the reactions that I was getting and how upset people got, and how people would just treat you like a moron even if you mentioned flat Earth, even if you said you had a friend that was a flat earther, guilty by association, and then anything you say after that is just stupidity in their minds. So I was like, okay, I got to connect these people and make sure. And then I got more into it, and then I went to Flattoberfest in South Carolina last month.
Yes.
It was so fun, and the people, they're so amazing. There's so many good people and open people, and it wasn't even if you're not even a flat earther, you still know that the government lied to us. and it's fun. Conspiracies are fun to like look into, as scary as they can be.
Well, it's just looking away from what the television feeds you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
who has time to conspire? Let's think about this. Klaus Anal Schwab. He's been conspiring his whole life against us.
I think it's a good thing. It opens people's minds up to, other things.
Klaus Schwab, who says you will eat the bugs.
And you will like it.
You'll like it and you will nothing.
I like Crow's motto. Their motto on their show is belief is the enemy of knowing.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
I got to call Crow today. Remind me of that because he wanted to talk about Iboga.
Yes. We
yes.
just recorded an episode about that, but we're not supposed to talk about it. We got to keep it on the down low.
Okay, I'm not saying anything.
I mean, we can talk about Iboga, but the episode has not yet been announced.
Oh.
You didn't bring any honey with you, or you're all sold out?
No, we have honey at the house, but we didn't realize we were coming over here.
Okay.
It was just kind of a last minute thing. I was kind of thinking that we had dropped someone off at the airport in Oneylander, and then I was like, hey, wait, we could go to the live broadcast. Let's go.
Yeah. Noniland is about an hour away from the salon, so they made a little bit of a trek to come over here.
Is this your salon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
When I was at Hunapepe, I was over at the bookstore over there getting books.
I love
Is
that.
that right? Is that right over here?
It's right,
It's right here. I'll
It's right
cross
here.
the
Oh, it's over
river.
here. Okay, so on that side.
Yeah, over there.
So,
Hunapepe bookstore is like the furthest west bookstore in the U.S., right?
It's probably like one of the few
You
last
know what? I should get my phone.
in the world.
I got a great
I
quote.
know.
I got a great quote from a friend of mine, a Floridian. He's kind of like, he's like a ball earther and all that stuff, but
Ball earther.
yeah.
David, you should go to Kelsey's website because she has Belief is the Enemy of Knowing on.
I'm gonna watch Kelsie out, and David's gonna give us a live commercial.
Yes.
Okay, let's. Time. So I should play it or not?
Okay, let me get this for you guys. Hold on. Kelsie, do you have Wi-Fi here?
Yes, it's EOS 5G.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Wait, David, do you want me to play the commercial while you're bringing that up?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
EOS 5G. Okay. EOS 7. Okay.
The story of Noniland honey begins as a journey into our imagination. Our story takes place within a jungle paradise setting on the north shore of one of the Hawaiian Islands. This is Noniland. Noniland is a certified organic, certified biodynamic, agricultural research center, bee sanctuary, and farm. Now picture all the trees at Noniland sending their roots deep into mineral-rich soils while extending their leafy branches into the warm, tropical sun and calm ocean breezes. What we have here at Noniland is a new type of honey from a rarefied ecosystem, distinct from both wildflower and single flower varietals. Noniland honey is made from the blossoms of a wide variety of highly nourished plants and trees, offering a concentrated source of life-giving mana. The bees at Noniland feed and collect pollen from the following flowers around the Noniland farm in order to create this unique, world-renowned honey: acai, aloe vera, angel trumpet, avocado, banana, baobab, black sapote, breadfruit, bottle brush, Christmas berry, coconut, egg fruit or lucuma, ginger, guava, Hawaiian bird peppers, hibiscus, jackfruit, kukui, lemon, lilikoi, lime, longan, lychee, mamey, mangosteen, Mayan dream herb, mango, macuna, noni, papaya, pau d'arco, pua kinikini, rollinia, soursop, spider lily, sweet potato, tea, tobacco, tulsi, turmeric, yacon, and the mana of the super-heroic Noniland bee results in a brilliant, rich, unique honey saturated with trace elements, high in living enzymes, and overflowing with antioxidants. The bees so love Noni Land that our farmhouse is gradually filling up with beehives and honey in the walls that we will not and cannot harvest. At Noni Land, bees are allowed to be free and are allowed to be loved. The farmhouse is literally generating new queen bees and hives and allowing them to spill out into the local environment. Noni Land honey is a favorite of collectors around the world as each batch is special and unique. These statements have not been evaluated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All right, there you have it.
That's a good thing that you have nothing to do with that FDA. I would never want to be associated with them.
It's a criminal outfit, always has been. Everything. It's interesting how all these like deep state organizations, the USDA, the FBI, the CIA, the NIAID, the NIH, how they just turned it just total criminality and communism. It's trippy. It's interesting.
I have a joke and I have a question, and then I'm going to let you take it away. The first thing in the commercial, when you were listing all of the plants, I felt like you were Bubba from Forrest Gump being like, this plant, that plant. You know how he kept going on and on and on about like the different kinds of shrimp, like shrimp and potatoes, barbecue shrimp. But you're like just naming all the most beautiful, natural, organic ingredients of the farm. So you're like the organic, healthy version of Bubba.
Of Bubba Gump's shrimpery. I've been a vegetarian for 32 years, so I don't even think I've ever even had shrimp. Definitely not since for sure over 40 years.
The whole idea of it grosses me out. But okay, now my question is that for episode 240 of Crow 777 Radio, we had Derek on and he doesn't wear a bee suit. And I saw in your commercial, you're wearing one. And I mean, the way he talked was like, well, my bees, there's like a energetic exchange where they know that I'm not harming them and they don't sting me. So is there a reason why you wear a bee suit?
Oh, sometimes I don't wear a bee suit. I'd say most of the time I don't wear a bee suit, but the one where I'm in the window with the bee suit on, looking out the window, the reason why there is because right in front of me, I was climbing out there. We were filming the bees coming in and out of the house. Our whole house, like our farmhouse, is filled up with bees, and those bees are a little bit more aggressive than the bees that are in our hive setup. These are like wild bees, so. That's why in that picture, if you remember it towards the end of the video, I'm kind of in the window with the bee suit on. It's because we were climbing out. We were getting some footage of those bees. But basically, it's interesting. If you're in the house like in the middle of the day on a hot day when the sun's baking down the house, it smells like honey because the whole back end of the house is encased in honey and propolis.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that explanation. That explains a lot. I love it. So what were you going to share with us from your phone?
Okay, I've got it here. This is wild. This is so accurate. Listen to this. We don't live in the United States of America. We live under an oppressive regime located in Washington, D.C. They are allowed to lie in court records, spy on Americans, and hold people without a trial. Federal judges are happy to approve these oppressive tactics. And that's the old friend of mine, Mike Cernovich. That was pretty good. He kind of nailed it. We don't really have like the Washington, D.C. regime, whatever that is, we can't affect it. All the elections obviously are fraudulent. The whole thing is a massive money and property racket. It's actually like a tax plantation. We're kind of in an IRS tax plantation, right? Well, you could just have so many freedoms, but then, we're stealing the rest of your money. We're stealing your property too. And we're kind of sick of you talking, so we're censoring you now too. That's the kind of regime that we're living under.
Yeah, it's all fear and suggestion. Like, for example, we recorded an episode today with someone who didn't even know how to pronounce the word affidavit a year ago. And he just served a lawsuit and affected such change at the hospital that was so glorious and such righteous retribution occurred that it just gives me so much hope. That people are just starting to wake up and not be afraid, because here's the thing. In this particular story, they did not accept anything that he was submitting. Like, they're like, I don't know what this document is, or this is an illegal document. We don't believe in it. It's all bullying.
I completely agree with you, Rose. This is so epic. Like, this meetflatearthers.com going across the bottom. So I'm in here like this. It's like meet flat earthers going across the bottom.
That's awesome.
You got to check it out, man. I hope that you join. I think it's $7 a month. And the thing is right now, I told Kelsie I wanted it to be like Tinder, just really straightforward pictures, age, location. Are you globe denier, flat earther, big local cosmologist, or just question or whatever? Very simple. But while this app is being built, she has it as like this networking website. So it is an uncensored Facebooky type of thing where there's a news feed and I could literally post anything I wanted. I mean, it's just Kelsie that owns it. So there's no possible censorship because she doesn't even know what the ruling elite wants to censor at this point. She can't be bought yet. She hasn't gone through the education of knowing. She has to go through her transhumanist and eugenics college before she can be even sought out by the ruling elite. So definitely Meet Flat Earthers is a great place to go to find people who, are questioning things, and it's totally uncensored, sharing links. It's great.
That's epic. That's so good. Okay, we got to check out the site, but we can't. If we check out the site, we can't right now. Anyway, Rose, I'm so glad to be talking to you. And let me tell you something. What's going on over here? There's so much abundance raining down on this island right now. It's completely insane. We were just at the farm processing cacao, and I've got some goodies for you guys like nobody's business coming out of here. I mean, this is like the mana for real. That's one of those words we say here in Hawaii, like the mana. It's like the enormous elements of the rock, the thing that can't be explained, the unknowable aspects of mineralogy. And this place exudes that in the sun, it's in the air, it's in the rocks, it's in the water, it's in the food, it's everywhere. It's definitely in the ocean too. Like you're saturated in it. And so very quickly you get here and it's like, whoa, my God, I feel like 10 years younger, much happier. We're literally rolling around just laughing.
Yeah.
Just down the highway. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Well, I think you've insulated yourself in this paradise, but if you're trying to go into a store on the island, it's like a whole different reality.
Gong show of corruption and insanity. Gong show. Like the whole masquerade and nonsense. And like, it's hilarious though. I actually have now a skull mask. So I go in with my skull mask. I actually went from hating it to loving it. It's just so insanely corrupt and bizarre. So New World Order. It's the worst ever.
I remember that. Yes. Well, we make it, we are controlling how we respond to all of the poppycock around us. And Kelsie walked into a place without a mask just because she forgot. And a woman came up from behind her and put it over her head and in front of her face, like as if she was some kind of animal being muzzled. And that is so bizarre to me. I couldn't imagine that happening in where I am, where I am.
If someone had done that to me, they would have either gotten an elbow to the face or I would have turned around, decked them.
Nice, Jason. Yes. Good job. I feel the same way. It's so completely absurd. Like if you go on the CDC's website of like what actually they're citing as a reference that masks work, it's the most absurd. It's like there's these two housewives in China and Beijing wear a mask and therefore their chances of picking up. I mean, it's like that level of quote unquote science, really scientism. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever that's being cited as saying masks work. I mean, this has been studied for a long time in surgical settings.
Don't get my YouTube, my first episode taken down, okay?
Kelsie wants her episode taken down.
No, I said make sure
doesn't not taken down. Sorry. Okay.
You should.
But the next time we'll have her on Rockfin by the time you come back for the next episode. So we'll go in real deep.
Okay, excellent. Anyway, what was I saying about the masquerade? It's basically like the evidence isn't there. Let's put it that way. That even in surgical settings.
Look, we have someone who went to the Black Sheep Summit. Isn't that awesome? What a small world.
Yeah, awesome. Look at that.
It just makes me so happy that you and Kelsie are connected now. And that it's just so important that as we have to form these breakaway societies, that we just know who's out there that gets it, you know, and we know where to go to find resources. And your newsletter is so helpful to me. And I just actually got the B supplement that has fulvic minerals in it and B6. What is it called? Symbiotic.
Oh, nice.
And I was already taking the fulvic minerals by Clive DeCarl, but the reason why I like your B12 is because I add it to my water with all of the powders that taste like crap, and it makes it taste good.
Nice. Good
But
job.
you can also just put it on. Do you think it's better if I do it sublingually and like hold it there, or it's cool just to add it to water?
So that B12 is so powerful sublingually that it's really. I told my cousin, it's my cousin's product. And he's been staying with us here, actually. He's leaving today, unfortunately. And I said, when you sell your company, carve that one out for us. I want to keep that one. I got some plans for that product. That product is absolutely amazing. It's the best B supplement in the world, actually, of all B vitamin products.
Well, yeah, I'm really, I don't know. It was because of your newsletter that caught me. Your newsletter made that sale for me. I just, so you know, because I was reading it and I was like, okay, I need that. I want to try that. I'm looking for a good B. Ooh, it has fulvic minerals in it too. Can you overdose on fulvic minerals, or is it just kind of wasting if you put too much?
It'll go right through you like dirt. I mean, it just comes out the same way it kind of went in, which is, you know, it's a dark brown, it's a dark black sedimentary grayish rock material.
Yeah.
What's that?
She said you can overdose on trace minerals.
No, you're not fulvic acid.
No, yeah, not that.
Fulvic acid is like it.
But no, not these fat solubles.
Okay, so hey, Rose, I got a question. I need somebody to help me with my newsletter. Do you think Kelsie could help, or is she just preoccupied with this whole gong show of this?
Well, she's a very busy person with her owning the salon and everything. But I mean, she's so active. I think that whatever you want to work with her, she'd be so open to it because she's very business oriented. So she'll make time for something if it's lucrative.
Okay, nice. Awesome. By the way, this is Yoga Cello over here. He's our resident yoga instructor and Noni Lancester, otherwise known as a Grandcester or Noni Lander. Anyway, so why don't you tell them a little bit about the importance of yoga as a daily practice?
Moving your body daily, getting the movement in, creating a type of ritual, it really changes the energy. When you become stagnant, you begin to, lack life and all the vitality things that you want to be young, live long, and have a happy life. Yoga's great. It's the best ever.
Sure.
How many of you out there have practiced yoga before, or are a daily yoga practitioner?
I've practiced yoga before. I did that when I lived in Montana in one of those heated rooms.
Nice.
Anyone in chat wants to tell us about your yoga experiences, please do share. Oh, I wanted to also ask you, David, about your opinion of distilled water and people who say that distilled water is going to pull the good stuff out of you. I think that's poppycock. What do you think?
Yeah, okay, if somebody's really calcified up, let's say they're just, they're arthritic, or they have very bad scar tissue throughout their body and they need a drawing agent to draw off that calcium, then a distilled water and eventual water fast is a good idea for that person. As in terms of like normal water for people to be drinking, distilled water is totally unstructured. It's an aggressive water where it likes to attack minerals to stabilize itself. And therefore it's not a water that I really ever drink. Well, occasionally I'll do it in a fast, but other than that, no.
But what if you're taking the distilled water and then you're adding the supplements and minerals to it and then drinking it?
That's better, much better. Especially if this action, right? The action of the vortex is a very important action for water, and that's one of the things about water is that water responds to vortex action. So we did an experiment on our recent. What was that? That was on our detox call. And a friend of mine, he had it's called a Vitalizer Plus. It's a water vortexing unit, really cool device. And we filled it up with water. And we're like, okay, taste the water. Now it's just spring water. And then he spun it for 27 minutes or 28 minutes. And then he drank it with us online. It was really interesting what happens when the water gets spun like that. That's what water likes. That's what it prefers. The water becomes better that way. When you have distilled water just unstructured sitting in a glass somewhere, there's no spin, there's no action, there's none of the things that water likes, which is motion and vortexes. So that's just the way I learned that all from being a spring water hunter. I've hunted over 400 springs. on 5 continents. I've done it. It's a regular thing that I do in my life. And, we hunt down new springs all the time. So that's from my direct experience of drinking the waters of the earth, how the earth filters it, not how humans do it. Because as soon as humans get involved, you can have nonsense. But as soon as the earth does it, you go, oh, what's good? What's the earth doing? And you drink it like that.
Aaron always tells the story about how you showed up at his house with a bag of water that you found like nearby. Never gets old. I love that story.
Jaron. Yeah. Did you say Jaron said that? Yeah.
Jaron. Yeah, you found a bag of water that you found by a nearby spring. Just like handing him a Ziploc bag of water. I love it. So if you take a distilled water and you put shungite in it, and then you put it through the hydrogen machine, and then you add supplements to it, and you have a sticker on the glass that says prosperity, have you created the vortex that you need?
You're doing better and better. I just like hearing all of that stuff. Yes. So yes, I mean, the more that water gets, an old friend of mine, a yogi actually from South Africa, what he used to do is he used to take cups of water when he distilled it and dump it back and forth like that, like a waterfall action, which is what the water really loves and what it likes. And he'd do that 20 times before he'd drink the water. I thought that was an interesting little strategy because he didn't have a little vortexer device. He didn't have anything to spin the water, so he did it that way.
There's a really great book I recommend for you to read. It's called The Hindu Water Cure. And it talks about putting motion in the water, vortexing water, all the cures of how water heals the body in so many ways. Read that book, The Hindu Water Cure, and it's really going to teach you a lot of the principles that we're talking about right now.
Awesome. Thank you for that recommendation. I'll definitely look into it, and then maybe I'll add it to the Coachable 7 library, the book of recommended books that we have, which is going to include the Callum Coates Schauberger ideas as well.
That's the best ever. By the way, I've been prepping for that call, that Victor Schauberger call. And I'm telling you, you'll see as you interview everybody about this subject, that I've been 25 years into it, even developing the machines, the vortex units and everything else like that. So I'm going to be ready and rip-roaring on that call. It's going to be wild about Victor Schauberger, including building the egg forms, including, somebody asked me the other day, what's the best way to store seeds? And I have done experiments where I've stored seeds in boxes, stored seeds in metal boxes, ceramic boxes, and also in clay eggs. And I've got to tell you, in the tropics, the seeds will last longest in the clay eggs. No question about it. That's direct experience.
Interesting. Now, sometimes I've heard from mainstream sources that people will take like 2 bulbs and keep them in the freezer. What do you think of those ways of conserving things like that?
They're conserving what in the freezer?
Like a tulip bulb, like certain kinds of bulbs or seeds that, or just they're saving certain things for planting in their freezers.
It depends on the seed, because some seeds can withstand freezing. Like the tropical seeds can't withstand the freezing. You put an avocado in a freezer, that's it. It's not going to sprout. But some other seeds can freeze and they'll survive. A lot of the apple horticulture, they put their scions or their grafted little pieces that they use to graft onto different rootstock to maintain consistent varieties of apples like Golden Delicious, Red Delicious, Pink Lady, and etc. And they do, I think, freeze those, which is interesting, meaning they're freezing pieces of the stalk of a particular variety, and then when they warm it up, they'll then graft that onto a rootstock of an apple. Now, when I was a kid, we did that with citrus and avocados, and I got to tell you a little avocado story. Kelsie, you're going to like this avocado story. Are you still there?
Kelsie, you're on a live stream, Kelsie. The show must go on. Come back.
Must go on, Kelsie, please. Please.
Are you gonna? Why don't you hold your story till she comes back, or do you want to?
No, I'm telling the story. Okay, so I was just telling her that she'd appreciate this. If there's when you grow lots of avocados, which I've been growing since I was a kid, there's certain branches on certain trees that produce avocados with no seeds. Now, this was a normal thing when I was a kid, because you'd come across those certain branches that would produce avocados with no seeds. Those are called cocktail avocados, and they look like a cucumber. Okay, so they're just like a cucumber. And you dice them up. You can dice them up like a cucumber, and you go right through the fat. You have sections of fat instead of sections of cucumber. And what we used to do is we used to take those branches and graft them onto a rootstock, usually Mexican rootstock of some sort, because they can survive the coldness of California. And then you could grow what's called a cocktail avocado tree. So you take that branch that produces the seedless avocado, and you attach that to the rootstock of a usually Mexican variety avocado, and you'll produce a whole tree that produces seedless avocados, or what we call a cocktail avocado tree. Just by curiosity, has anyone ever heard that?
No.
Nobody. I mean, in California has never heard of this.
Yeah, I've heard of grafting, but this particular idea is just absolutely fascinating and new. Have you ever heard of the miracle berry, where if you eat it, it will make like a lemon taste like sugar when you take a bite of it afterwards?
Yes, we grow miracle berries over at Noni Land, and one of my favorite of all of that is when you take the miracle berry and then you go do a lime. Then you basically get, imagine lime and orange as one. That's the flavor. That's my personal favorite, one of my favorite flavors of all time.
Awesome. Can I tell you my favorite way to eat avocado?
Yes.
Wait, I think I already did. When you were at my house, I think I told it to you, but now I'm going to put it on the record for eternity. Okay, so it has to be really great sourdough bread with your coconut butter, and then avocado, and then Trader Joe's everyday seasoning was the previous before they became Traitors. But now instead I could use the vital salts that you sent me with the black truffle sesame salt. That's really, really good. But anyway, and then you got some kind of salt thing, and chili lime salt from Imperio salsa, and pepper. And then on top of that, a couple of sunflower seeds. But I don't know if you're going to like that because I don't know how you digest sunflower seeds. And then after that, some alfalfa sprouts and broccoli sprouts. I'm sorry.
Rose, sounds like a California girl with that recipe right there.
And you top it off with a little bit of fermented sauerkraut, and that's it.
Of course. That was good. Jeez. But you definitely are a giveaway as a California girl with that recipe right there.
Oh, really?
No question about it.
I don't even know the definition of etouffee and gumbo and jambalaya, and I've been in Louisiana for 5 years.
It's been 5 years already.
Yeah, I got here in the end of 2017, so we're getting there, right? Oh my
Now,
goodness.
you didn't happen to meet Jason on meetflatearthers.com, did you?
No, but I guessed how I met him. Do you know how we met?
I think you told me, but go ahead and tell us.
Well, I was going because I wanted to meet Mark Passio in Philadelphia at the Free Your Mind conference in 2016. And all the people like Larkin Rose.
Sorry to interrupt you, Rose, but Mark Passio is distinctly not flat. Is that correct?
That is correct. He called flat earthers vermin, but he obviously just didn't look at it. And he's very, very upset that people don't understand the meaning of anarchy and government. So he's more focused on evolution and consciousness. But I really wish that I could talk to him about it one day. I would absolutely love to. In fact, Owen Benjamin, he wanted to go on with Owen Benjamin, but I guess some of the people that follow him were talking about how he spoke so poorly of flat earthers. I don't know. It's just an example of how personalities clash. But for me, he really woke me up to the corruption of government and anarchy.
Okay, they're back.
All right.
Yay!
I'm a big boy.
They stay here.
Well, we're gonna pick up a topic right now. Whoa, that ant is massive.
No, it's
Look
big.
at that
It's huge.
By the way, someone asked about sea moss, and I totally love sea moss. I get a kind that has bladderwrack in it and turmeric. Totally love it.
I think we're driving Kelsie berserk.
Okay, so what I just said to Kelsie while we were in the bowl, the other Kelsie, just in case someone was confused by me using my own name. I'm not talking about myself in third person. I was like, conspiracies are really fun. And we were talking about kids in school being taught like whatever bullshit over and over and over again, and how my daughter's in private school and she's not going to grow up in that kind of way. But I was like, the dinosaurs is a really fun conspiracy. And how, and so Kelsey's like, yeah, she's like,
Okay.
have you ever been to London to the museums?
I went to London a few years back, and we went to the museums there. And the museums are great, right? They're all free. they're really clean. They're beautiful, right? The outsides are beautiful. So we go in and we went to the Natural History Museum, and they have like whale bones, right? They have like this huge like blue whale, all their bones, all like hung up when you walk in. It's gorgeous. And then they have like dodo birds, and they're stuffed dodo birds. You're like, okay. And then they have like dinosaur stuff. And you're like, is this really like a dinosaur bone, or is this more whale stuff that they made into a dinosaur? And my boyfriend, I love him dearly, but he didn't believe any of it. He's like, this is all fake shit. Like we go into like some of the more of like, the Roman eras and the first like chessboard and all this like first of everything, first instruments. And, he didn't believe any of it. And so
David's ice water bowl.
Yeah, I mean, that looks like something that could have been in the museum almost, that ice water bowl.
Don't let Maya see that.
But it was just interesting. It's like, were there dinosaurs? Like, is this dinosaurs, or did they just like carve out a dinosaur?
Okay, I've got a comment. Kelsie, I'm raising my hand. Which Kelsey's going to call on me?
Go.
Okay. I've seen the tracks all along in Utah, in Arizona, and Texas. The 3-thing traction of the 3, whatever that is, but they're all across the desert Southwest in stone, in sedimentary rock. I don't know if it's a giant flightless bird, could have been that, but check it out. In Biloxi River region of Texas, there's been thousands of those tracks found with, are you ready for this, Kelsie?
Which Kelsie?
Both Kelseys.
We're ready.
Which?
With human footprints, lots of them. And that's where they found the human and dinosaur, or whatever it was, the 3-pronged foot thing, together. And so that tells me that before the flood, or whatever happened before, or whatever happened to the Atlanteans, that humans and dinosaurs, or whatever they are, large flightless birds or whatever, were running around together. They were domesticated. There's that many tracks together in that region.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, well, what about the fact that they show them as these reptiles, and then they're like, they could have had fur. They
That's Jenny's.
They could have had
Jenny's.
they,
I'm trying to show Kelsie how to run a live show here. Like, you have to go berserk constantly, or you're going to lose people. You have to constantly be shocking them.
Okay, well, I'm not Alex Stein, so.
Wow. So, Kelsie, other Kelsie.
Wow.
There's some validity to what you were talking about with the dinosaur bones. From what I understand, when I did the research a few years ago, no skeleton or any of the stuff that they're showing you in a museum is actually the real thing. They are casts of what they claim to be the real thing.
Yeah, they're Chinese.
Yeah, and so for them to just straight up, like there's all these little cute preschoolers and like not high school, but like, grade school kids with their little knickers on, these little European kids, and they were all learning this all, and it's just like, did they really? They're gonna grow up.
But you notice that see it. You see that as like an outsider. You're not like walking through there. It's like, oh, this is so cool, great. The kids are learning.
Well, I'm a kid at heart, so I was very gullible, and I was like, look at dinosaur bone. But like, I'm sure many adults think that like the way I'm thinking. But it's just like it's just the way they're promoting it.
Yeah.
It's like there wasn't a sign saying this is not real. Like they wanted you to believe there is actual dinosaur and dodo birds everywhere.
It was the same with the space stuff. It's the same with all of that.
Same with all of it.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of misdirection.
Well, it's not hard to find that out because there's actual factories in China where they make this stuff. So you can order skeleton replicas of dinosaurs. So again, this doesn't prove that dinosaurs didn't exist. I think that there's enough evidence to show that something was around, but is it exactly the way they say it? Well,
did you guys do an episode on dinosaurs being gay?
Kelsie.
No, I've never postulated that dinosaurs were homosexuals. No.
But the episode 53 of Crow 777 Radio covers the dinosaurs.
Episode 53.
Because
she's like, let me tell you.
She's like flicking through her Rolodex.
At minute 15 seconds, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Episode 53. Crow said this.
The Bone Wars the Bone Wars in the 1800s it was just like a big dick measuring contest with tons of lies. Now, I like to use the dinosaur issue. I do a 9/11 metaphor, right? So people like to talk about Building 7 as like, oh, the big truth, or how did 2 planes bring down 3 buildings? When the truth is that there were no planes at all. So my point is that the dinosaur stories that they are handing us are fake, but that's to misdirect us from the true history, which we have not been handed. And only the people at the very, very, very top who are controlling everything have a true understanding of our history. Now, David, I'm about to ask you if your mind has been blown yet by the recent episode we did with Ben Balderson and Elsie King on the galvanized cell theory. Have you heard the episode yet?
Hold on. The last.
He's got to flip through his Rolodex.
No, you're talking. No, I know which one it is. It's the one with like the sun and and Mercury and Venus and all the different charges across the planets. That episode.
Well, it's the idea that it's an anode cathode system.
Yes,
so
I listened to that one. I like that episode.
So you know how we're talking about these large animals. Now, for example, in the museum, when you see a so-called brontosaurus or brachiosaurus, physics would not allow those legs to hold up that belly. You know what I mean? So we know that that's fake. But as far as the things that we are seeing evidence of,
it's like a Barbie doll. How you're like, her tits can't be that big and her hips can't be that narrow. And she wouldn't be able to stand up straight. It's the same
exactly.
thing.
Jessica Rabbit is not physically possible. That's a perfect example, Kelsie. So in that theory, the universe is kind of breathing in and out. And right now we're at a phase of the battery that is very low. And so that's why we're all very small and in our lowest, like animalistic, not very higher minded state, we're all small. But during the time of an age where it's more bursting with energy, that would explain where like trees are really big and humans are really big, since there are evidence of giants as well. So it's like, why were there giants? Why were these big animals? When did this happen? Was there actually a flood? And so the galvanized cell theory, there's no proof of it. It's all conjecture. It's just fun to think about because it does explain that the sludge that would be created from that battery, in the same way that the AquaCure machine creates sludge and you have to clean the machine, there could have been sludge that then fell through the firmament and created this mud thing in certain regions. And that's kind of explained in the Bible. So it's just interesting how we see these themes repeated across different stories and ideas.
Okay, so Rose, very important homework assignment. I think we've given you and Pro and Jason this homework assignment several times already. You need to. It's essential, actually. It's essential reading. Charles Fort's Book of the Damned, Wild Talents, Low, and New Lands. Those 4 books. It's essential. I'm telling you, like everything you just said, that's been documented in recent times. Mud falling from the sky, massive, huge mud storms, worms falling from the sky, fish falling from the sky, all different kinds of spores falling from the sky, portals that open up in the sky, and all this stuff just falls right out. That understanding, and what eventually became termed fish falls, where a portal would open up over a river when no one was looking, and all of a sudden fish would fall from the sky right in that river and just flood that river.
Like
it's so disrupting to the rational mindset. It's so disturbing to the rational understanding of reality that eventually you arrive where Fort arrived, which is we're in a rational and irrational construct. It's both together. One defines the other. A logical and illogical construct. They're both together. They're locked in together. So when we hear about giants way back when, no, they're right. They're still here now. They're here now. And I'm referencing a great YouTube site, even though I don't like YouTube, but Juan Kelsey's YouTube. YouTube's the best ever. Anyway, it's called Sasquatch Chronicles on Giants. Check out Wes's shows on giants, on Sasquatch Chronicles. You have to search that on YouTube really intensely because they block him because everyone's shadow banned him. Yeah. They shadow banned him. Anyway, you can find some really interesting shows that show us that those giants are still here today.
You mean all hanging out together in the same place, or we're just having like the genetic mutations being born amongst us?
Maybe it's a different type of giant living in a different place. Maybe we drove them to the far port. Here it is. I got it for you. Kelsey.
They all live in
Kelsey, listen.
Miami.
listen to him. Listen to him, Kelsey.
Are they all like
You ready for
NFL?
These creatures, ready for this little term?
What's it?
I got it. I finally, over many years, I finally got it down to this. They occupy the edge of our perception.
It's like the BFG.
Yeah, that's good.
How you
It's
kind
like
of
Kelsey.
Are they like horses? Are they horses? Big friendly giant.
Kelsey.
Imagine a
Kelsey.
horse.
They
It's
occupy
like
the edge of
Winona
our perception.
Ryder.
With
We can't see the strange and the unusual, but I am myself the strange and unusual. So it's like you gotta be one to no one, takes one to know one. You gotta be on that level where you can perceive that field. Is that what you're saying, David?
Yeah. They exist so much in the periphery of our perception that you actually have to somehow alter your senses or just get so deep into nature that your senses come more alive to be able to perceive them. And let me just tell you an incident that happened here. You're gonna like this one because this has happened in Kauai. I was in the middle of this island one time.
I don't like anything that happens in Kauai at this point.
At 5 in the morning.
I want out.
We drove up what's the Wailua River
Blue
Valley,
Road.
all the way to the top. What's that road?
Blue Road.
What is
Loop Road.
Loop Road? All the way to the
Blue
very
Hole.
center. You know what's it
Blue Hole.
called at the very? What do you call
The
that?
Blue Hole.
Waialeale.
Blue Hole. Waialeale.
Not Waialeale.
Right, yeah. So you drive all the way to the middle to Waialeale, which is the last part you can.
It's
you can drive
the
a car to.
wettest spot on earth.
You're underneath the wettest spot on earth.
One of the wettest spots. The wettest spot is in India.
The other is my panties.
That's really good for ratings. Good job.
Look at our ratings
Okay.
went up 1 person.
Someone just joined. Oh, someone left.
We have 2 more.
Dad! He's watching.
Okay, it was for ratings, Dad. It's all good. Anyway, so we're out there. We get all the way to the middle of the island, where you basically there's no more trails left. It's a complete swamp. You have to hike up the river, and we get all the way to actually what is I think considered the Blue Hole, where you have the conglomeration of 3 rivers coming out of the crater and one coming off the back wall of Kauai. Once you go past that spot, you're in there was nobody within miles of us. We get all the way into the crater, which you normally have to helicopter into the crater, but we got into the crater, and then my girlfriend at the time, Sandy, you have to climb up the waterfall because you can't even go into the jungle. It's too steep, too crazy, too wet.
Yeah.
You can do that. And she fell off the waterfall and landed in the pool below.
Wow.
And after I saw that, I was like, okay, that's as far as we're gonna go. So we turned around, we went back to that key spot where it splits off, and there was 2 racks of bananas left for us on those rocks, and I felt them. They were there, somewhere close. And I finally got a whole, like, whoa, what is this? And that's the Menehune. They were there.
They were there. Those are the little people, by the way.
Yeah,
They're not
The
very
Menehune of Hawaii.
They're not the large ones.
Non-chopped bananas. So normally you get a big machete, cut the whole rack out, but snapped. And then 2 racks laid out on the rocks, which we couldn't have missed because we climbed right over those rocks on the way up. And right. And I felt it. I was like, something's here. They're here. No one within miles behind us. Within at least 4 miles behind us. How do you explain that one? Because they're still here. The Menehune are here. They're all here. The Bigfoot's still here. See, that's the thing. I get Crow's little story about.
Do you know that the Tahitians were 7 feet tall when they arrived?
Yeah, of course.
That's a pretty big man.
Wow, the
7
Tahitian
foot?
priest king that arrived on the Big Island.
That's a tall man.
He was a 7'2" psychic.
That's a tall.
He came over here on a boat. He saw what was going on here. He's like, he went back to Tahiti, got all the Tahitian priest kings, and led them back here to these islands and conquered these islands and formed the Alihi system, which is the system that was in place when Captain Cook showed up. And Captain Cook showed up, by the way, for everybody who's interested, right over here, very close to this spot. The first spot with the Europeans, supposedly, was Captain Cook right over here in Waimea.
That is so cool.
I got a blow dryer, so if you want to take over while I blow dry, we're gonna blow on. Trying to get those ratings up.
Do you want me to move?
Wait, but how are we? Wait, you're not going to be able to talk while we hear that.
I can blow her on camera because this is YouTube.
You guys are gonna have to go outside where we can't hear the blow dryer. Do you have a Jackery portable battery? I should have an affiliate link for Jackery now. Get a Jackery so you can blow dry the hair outside of the studio.
It won't take very long. I can just do it right now.
It'll be real quick.
It'll be real quick. Okay, so
Okay, let's go.
We're not gonna be able to talk, David. We're not gonna be able to hear you talk. We all just
Yes,
have to.
yes, we will.
We will.
Yes, I'm gonna take her in the back room.
Oh
Blow her
yeah.
out.
hi everybody, welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be interviewing Yogacello. Yogacello, come over here. Okay, just go ahead and have a seat right here, Yogacello.
Hello, Yoga.
What's happening?
And we're going to discuss jungle living is the best.
Okay,
Yeah.
my two questions.
Yogacello, you've had some opportunities to come out to Nonyland as a true Nonylander, and yes, Kelsie. Please.
Rose, can you put up also my Monate link?
Sure.
mymonate.com. And this is an all-natural hair product that will grow your hair and keep it from falling out. So it's for men that are balding and women that are balding and people that just want nice hair.
What's the website? What's the website?
You want to know the balding recipe we're using at home?
electricoceansalon.mymonate.com.
We made a balding recipe.
All of this, chemical free.
Her products are the best ever. Look, best ever by far.
Best ever.
Website, please.
electricoceansalon.mymonate.com.
electricoceansalon.mymonate.com.
And look at that beautiful hair.
Good job, Jason. All right, let's get into what we're using at home. So we're talking about jungle living is the best. I'm joined by Yogacello over here. He's our resident yogi at Nonyland, and we did a formula yesterday. We were knowing that somewhere in the back of our minds, in our subconscious, at some level of our super ego, we were going to come to electric. What's the name of this? Electric Oceans. Yeah, Electric Oceans, and we decided to make our own hair recipe. And what was in that recipe?
Cacao bark.
Cacao bark. So listen to this. I was in the Amazon about 16 years ago, and I was talking to a shaman who lived in the Amazon. We were drinking ayahuasca with him. And I said, what do you think about cacao? And he said, oh, cacao? What? The first thing he said about cacao, he said you could cut up pieces, like sticks of cacao tree, like basically cut the bark up, and then put it in cold water, and it secretes a gel that cures male pattern baldness. Fact, we made it yesterday, right?
Yep.
Now, over the years, we have made this, and it's one of those things that it gels up like aloe vera, and it's really interesting. When you have a lot of guys around the house, it's something that the guys are attracted to. It really is. The women never touch it. And guys will put their hands in there and then put it, it's like a gel, and you put it on your scalp. It's completely epic and ready to go when we get home. We get that thing going. Anyway, so that was the first thing he said. He said the second thing is that we believe that cacao is the future, and they just planted something like 3,000 cacao trees or 5,000 cacao trees with the local tribe. That's what he said. And the last thing about cacao is he said, cacao, you can live on cacao. Cacao has everything you need to live. I was like, oh, interesting. So basically, we are running a chocolate farm. Tell us about the chocolate farm and your experience of living on a chocolate farm.
It's like being at Willy Wonka's Wonderland in the middle of the jungle. So there's over 10 varieties of cacaos.
28.
There's 28 varieties. And every cacao tree is unique. They're so beautiful and majestic. When they fruit, you can see the big red fruits coming off the trunks and the trees. We actually harvested over 100 cacaos in the last 3 days, and yesterday we processed them all. It was pretty epic, that whole experience.
That is so awesome. And you do it all by hand?
All by hand. I got videos. I got to send a video. You know what? Maybe I could send you a video and you could put it up.
Absolutely, I would love to. I can do that, and it's better if it's under 5 minutes, because then I can upload it and have it available to just throw up anytime during a stream.
Hey, hold on. I got Rose. I got you on Telegram. I'm going to get you the videos. Let's get it up here so just people can see what is going on. It's total berserker frenzy.
Now, the process of processing cacao, like going from a cacao to what you would call like a chocolate bar, is absolutely amazing and quite laborious, especially if you're doing it by yourself. So when you do eat natural chocolate, which my favorite chocolate of yours is the mint chocolate, the one with the green foil. I mean, it's so nice. Yeah, it's nice to have something that tastes so good like candy, but you know that it's literally medicine. It's like, I'm not really interested in eating normal candy anymore, like the kind that you would get in a vending machine. Like, it almost feels like it's like painful to even think of eating that. But when having your chocolate, it's like I'm giving my body nutrients that are good.
Thank you so much for saying that. We really work hard to make Nonyland the best chocolate farm in the world, and it's a labor of love. I mean, the amount of work, it's basically, instead of working out like normal people go and work out, we basically just go out into the farm and chop and drop and pick food and swing from the vines and, hang off of cliffs and stuff, because that's how it is. It's very intense, very labor intensive. But what's interesting and different than a workout at a gym is that you have gifts that keep on giving. because years later we go, oh, remember that workout? We dug those holes, we put those trees in. Well, now those are full-grown trees and they're producing tons of food. I just sent you a whole bunch of material there, Rose, but there's more coming through. Here comes the next one. Okay, I sent this to Rose. We're going to show a video of this if we can. When you get the cacao pulp, like that's the gel that surrounds all the cacao beans or the cacao nuts or the actual like chocolate, the film that's on the outside can be squeezed off. So we actually have a pulp squeezer in the Noni Land arsenal, which is, we have a guy who he focused on just squeezing the pulp off of those beans using a cheesecloth. Now that, okay, cool. I think we're gonna get it here. That juice is the number one beverage maybe in the world, or at least the number one fruit juice in the world. And we're going to show you a video of that. It's almost uploaded, Rose. I've got 2 more megabytes, then they'll be to you. And then I've got a time lapse of just what's going on in the Noni Land farm kitchen. That'll be to you in a second.
Awesome. Well, in the future, I'll have it uploaded to StreamYard so that I won't have to share my screen and show Telegram. But since I'm so excited to share this information, I just decided to share my screen right off the bat. So shall I just go from one video to the next?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, that upper amp is on the force arrow. Do the Starburst though. The Starburst does it every time. Okay, so what you just saw right there is us processing the cacao beans out of the cacao fruit. That's what the cacao fruit looks like. Can you zoom in there right onto that fruit, Rose? Is that possible? Yeah, there you go. Now you can see how many beans are actually in that fruit. There's probably 40 in that fruit right there, and it takes about 10 cacao beans to make a chocolate bar. So each one of those fruits is worth about 4 chocolate bars. That's pretty epic. There's a lot there. You can imagine how much food that is.
It's just one example of how there are so many plants that I can think of on Earth that provide all of the nutrients we need. Everything, there's so much abundance. And that's why the illusion of scarcity is what has allowed everyone to get so dumbed down and addicted to supermarkets and processed food. They have no idea how easy it is and how abundant it is, how much you could get out of just one single plant.
Okay, now this is the actual
chocolate, but very few of this elixir, an elixir of the gods. This is cacao pulp juice, and it's one of the greatest things on earth. Let me have a sip. When you drink that, you know that cacao is king. All right, people think they've heard it all about chocolate, but very few have had this elixir.
That is so awesome. Right.
And then you can see in the next one is just us just like hustling, just, how we process cacao. I'll send a little Noni Land picture after that. So yeah, that's just us time lapsing in the kitchen processing chocolate. And it's a labor, it's actually really a community oriented experience and really an awesome way to build community. And that's really one of the things that's intrinsic to the chocolate fruit itself, is that processing it and dealing with it brings the community together. It's really epic.
Absolutely. I love it. Oh, and this is a beautiful picture as well.
And that's our farm, Noni Land.
Now that you think about it, like the whole idea of Willy Wonka, isn't it insane how in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, there's just all these machines and like chemical assembly line. It's like almost like that was a way of occulting the truth about chocolate.
You got it. You nailed it. Exactly. It's basically all of that stuff, the whole chocolate industry and the whole idea of a chocolate factory and the whole idea of a distributed product even goes back to chocolate. It can all be drawn back to the chocolate tree itself or the cacao bean itself. It's all intrinsic to it because as soon as you bite into that bean, all of that comes alive in you. All of the idea of the golden ticket, the idea of a chocolate factory, the idea of a Willy Wonka, the idea of a berserker cacao alchemist, because cacao is alchemical. And in fact, the entire candy industry could be boiled down to basically chocolate and honey. That's the basis of the whole industry, if you bring it back in time, enough years. And that's what we do there. We basically do chocolate and honey. And it's just so incredible to put those two together. Your own homegrown chocolate into your own honey together. Yeah, I mean, you're basically living on the most abundant foods on earth.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And also, like, there has been a perversion of every good plant you could possibly think of, like people, what's another example? How about the plant where cocaine comes from, or tobacco? Do you have anything to say about those plants?
Well, coca obviously is it's interesting. Out of the 14 alkaloids of coca, the one that was selected by our civilization is the numbing agent, cocaine. There are many other alkaloids that could have been focused on by different societies or civilizations, but it's interesting that our civilization chose the numbing alkaloid. And in the coca business, almost all the other alkaloids are either thrown away or put in Coca-Cola. On another note, the tobacco note, I've been a tobacco grower for 20 years, and I've grown tobacco on this island for 17 years. And it's just an absolute labor of love. I mean, it's maybe you have some. Do you have some you can show?
I do. I have a sample.
Okay, we'll show you. We brought a little bit with us in the car. We didn't know we were coming here. I was in the car. My foot was really bothering me because I smashed my foot, and I was like, let's go over to Kelsey's spot over there on the other side of the island. And it was only like 30 minutes away. So we're like, okay, let's hit it. So we got here. Here's the tobacco right here. You want to show them that? Can you just lean it into the...
What's funny is people talk about, survival and prepping and everything. And one of the things they're saying that you should have on hand for the, Ragnarok, apocalyptic, Armageddon, zombie situation is cigarettes, which is kind of like sad when you think about it, when you're looking at it from like a mainstream media prison currency aspect. And then again, the occulting of the truth about a plant that is totally natural.
Come on in. We're having the best time ever. You don't need to wear a mask in here. Okay. Completely, what you're getting at, Rose, is completely what's going on. It's like, as soon as you get greedy little human hands onto tobacco, which is the #1 herb in the world and #1 most used herb in the world, you get all kinds of evil coming to life. It's really the worst ever. Watch out for the cord.
I know. Let's see. I'm just going to turn it this way so we can have a little...
Oh, okay. We're gonna swing over here. We're changing our background. Thank you. Anyway, as soon as you get little greedy little human hands on the whole thing, then it all becomes a total abomination. It's literally the worst ever. Now, growing your own tobacco and smoking your own tobacco at the end of a day's work is totally epic. And I'm convinced that the only way you could get into, like people that whole thing is just created by the chemicals and crap that they add to it, which is literally a list of 1,200 different chemicals and 1,200 additives. Sorry, 800 additives and 4,000 chemicals. That's what it is.
Thousands of chemicals. It's mostly chemicals and not tobacco. Like, if you actually pull the cigarette apart and look through what's going on inside a cigarette, it would blow your mind. That's not tobacco.
That's why today you'll see a lot of these cigarette companies like I'm thinking of Signal Tobacco, which is a Native American tobacco. They say this product contains only tobacco and water. That's it, because it's gotten that.
Yeah, keep it like.
What's the best word? Adulterated.
Yeah,
it's a sin, massive sin. Anyway, it's just all this stuff makes sense when you're living on a farm, because you see all the parts and pieces that are needed. You see why the chickens are needed, because they get the cockroaches. You see why the cats are needed, because they get the rats. You see why the dogs are needed, because they drive off the pigs. Everything is in its appropriate order when you're on the family-run farm, and I want to put that out there because we're so living in suburbs and stuff, we don't really realize that the family-run farm is the best and most natural way of life for a human being, in my opinion.
I could not agree more. I totally love one of the things that really started when I was first waking up, I had a lot of exposure to rehab hospitals for physical injuries like strokes, amputations, spinal cord injuries. And I just started to see the systemic genocide that was already occurring in nursing homes, because those two places, skilled nursing facilities, rehab facilities, they all interface, where these corporations, they only have they only need to do three things: prevent falling, prevent weight loss, and maintain skin integrity. Other than that, I mean, there's no care whatsoever. So in a real form of anarchy, like what I envision for once human consciousness evolves so that it's possible, it would be where like the older are taking care of the young, and the young are taking care of the old, and then the people in like, you know, the middle are, you know, providing whatever they feel called to contribute. Because I think it's a fallacy that it's a dog eat dog world. It's the capitalist mindset that there can be only one winner, when really, like in the truth community, for example, everyone who I've met has some kind of special talent to offer and something of value. And it's only like working for the system and having to make money that is holding them back from creating abundance from that talent.
I'm so glad you said that, Rose, and that's totally exactly what's happening right now. And this is where we're going to be starting to create a new system, right? Because they're basically closing us out of the old system. We don't want to have anything to do with that level of corruption and lying and deceit, and the whole thing is basically going to eat itself alive. So we step out of that system, and this is why, you know, like I'm trying to get through that. I have gotten through to Jason a little bit, and I think with you a little bit too. Crow's closed off to the idea of cryptocurrency. But the freedom fighters in the cryptocurrency space, we got so many great projects that have been empowered with money because of the cryptocurrency reality, right? So, you know, it's so important. Like, for example, I pay a lot of my people just in crypto. We don't exchange euros. We don't exchange dollars. It's just in crypto. And they're totally happy to be paid by that because they can convert that crypto into goods and services on their side. So what do you need the US dollar for, or the euro for? And this is an area where we're starting to see people being able to live and survive on the fringes of this really decrepit system that we're in. So that's why I am a fan of crypto. I don't think it's the cure for everything, but there's just incredible freedom movements happening there that people need to be aware of.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This episode of Therapy with Kelsie is brought to you, sponsored by David Avocado Wolf. And
David, we should do a stream about cryptocurrency.
Salon is the best ever. Electric Oceans is electricoceansalon.com.
Not plural, just ocean.
Electricocean.com.
No, yeah.
Electricoceansalon.com, right?
Yeah, you can book on there, but I'm sure a lot of these.
Can I get an appointment?
But if they wanted to get their products, they could get electricoceansalon.mymonate.com.
Okay, how do you spell that again? MyMonate. MyMonate.
Yeah,
okay.
A-T.
A-T. Okay.
M-O-N-A-T.
Okay.
And I do have met a bunch of people that actually still have been buying it off
here.
Oh, thanks, David.
Wow.
Beautiful. I love your hair. But Kelsie, did you teach her how to make it look like that tomorrow after she takes a shower?
She did. She gave me tutorials. Look at that blonde, you guys. It's natural looking.
It's really good.
It's natural.
It doesn't look like
This ain't no this ain't no playground. This is like
good job, Kelsie.
Professional. Right
Now,
here.
David, you brought up so many great points, and I really do agree with you that there are reasons why you should try to benefit from it, because as far as I'm concerned, cryptocurrency is just as fake as fiat currency. And if the ruling elite is going to use it to control us, we should at least try to benefit, maximize it, and convert it into like off-grid resources while we can. Because if we do convert all the way over to digital currency, that will get us a little bit closer to the iron-fisted control that they're searching for. But a lack of knowledge how the blockchain works, I think, is holding people back from understanding that the ways that it could be used in a fair way. But then there's the whole idea of, is there a button somewhere that can turn off the internet? So it's about diversifying.
Pulling me. No, let me just explain something, Rose, that's important about cryptocurrency that I don't think our community understands at all.
Because we do have other clients in here. And the microphone's right.
Well, she could benefit. You'd love it, I'm sure. Listen to this. Centralized control versus decentralized control. The banksters always want centralized control, so their cryptocurrency will be centrally controlled by them. Decentralized control, it means that nobody controls it. You know, years ago doing Native American church, the shaman sits down, he says, Native American dude says, let me tell you something. We can't settle it amongst ourselves here amongst the human tribe. So the chief is going to settle it for us. And who's the chief? He puts the little peyote right there out in front of the moon when you're in the Native American church teepee. He says, we're going to ask the chief. It's out of our hands now. And I always feel like that. It's like when you start getting humans into a hierarchy, the most evil and pathological personality will rise to the top most of the time. If we get a decentralized format, then you're going to get more people who are pure in their heart to get involved in it, because they don't necessarily want all the money or all the fame or all the action. That's decentralized control. There's a world of decentralized cryptocurrencies out there, and there's people fighting for every one of you right now by creating uncontrollable decentralized financial platforms so that no centralized bankster can get a hold of it with anything. That's out there. But, I don't know. I've been in it a long time, so I'm starting to see the real beauty of what these crypto developers have done for us. We don't benefit from it if we think it's all US dollar fiat or all euro or all digital gov coins because of our judgment, right? Which has blocked us from accessing that.
Yeah. Well, that is the beginning of an extended conversation that I would love to have in a future episode here in the salon or on my channel or anywhere. We have Kelsie back here now with beautiful hair. And I just want to ask her, because now that your hair is almost done, this is we're obviously coming to the end of your appointment. You are here with David Avocado Wolf. You're here with me, one of the producers of Crow 777 Radio. David has had decades of research. I have kind of had a crash course in reality because of the show that I'm running. Do you have any questions or any ideas that you'd like to share now for us or anyone in chat that's also an independent researcher?
Okay, so
are you talking to Kelsie or are you talking to David?
Yeah, I'm talking to Kelsie.
Yeah, okay, so, and then also, I think, Kelsie does have a few things to say and to talk about David with, because she has a friend over here, a doctor.
Oh, yeah, so just, I have a friend, beautiful friend, that you might even know, Erin.
What's your last name?
Clark. Anyway, she's in my cohort, and she's very much an Eastern healer. She has her own shop up in Moloa'a, Hawaii, where she does like a lot of esthetician facials, but it's all natural. Like she'll go get the foam from the ocean, like that foamy ocean, and that's your part of your facial. Like it's very from the earth facial. It's really cool. Anyways, that was the lady who I was discussing earlier in our live stream, where she wants to start her own farm and have honey as a thickener for these medications for these clients that we're gonna have. So you're gonna be a nurse.
Yeah.
But like if you have a swallowing, if you're disabled, you have aspiration precaution and you can't swallow, then you have a thickener, right? But we have these nasty ass thickeners that are loaded with chemicals that it's powdered and stirred in. But it's like a honey substitute would be just as beneficial. And so when you walked through this door and I met you, I was like, wow, there's a marriage. There's a marriage.
Marshmallow root powder is really good for people in that situation. Marshmallow root powder is the herb for that situation, by the way. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, so I would love to just hook you guys up after.
Okay.
I think she would really love.
He's already married.
You can have.
You're married.
Let me see. What if they cut our power? So the question comes up about crypto is like, what if they cut our power? So if this power gets cut off on my phone, which by the way, look at my phone setup. I don't ever hold my phone in my hand. If it gets cut off, if the power gets cut off, it just goes off. Once I turn it on, it's all still there. That's what people don't understand about blockchain stuff. They'd have to delete and blank and fry the memory of every computer and phone in the world. It's not going to happen. So let's say they did cut your power. Okay, well then we're back to Paleolithic living for a while until we get power back, and maybe that'll be the way it's going to be. But they'll also cut your bank off, and everything else will be cut off too, because that's all digital as well. The internet will be cut off, that's all digital as well. So as long as we're in a digital realm, that we have to help support decentralized cryptocurrencies, because that is the battleground of the future. Decentralized cryptocurrencies versus centralized fiat, gov coins, or cryptocurrencies. That's where the real battleground. It's already happening. And by the way, when you have that battle happening, like with China says we're getting rid of all crypto. Guess who owns the most crypto? The Chinese government. If that doesn't tell you what we're dealing with, I don't think anything else will. That's it right there. Communism means you don't get to have it, we get to have it. Now, if the Chinese government is the biggest holder of Bitcoin, what does that tell you? They know the value of it. So if you just have some of that value, you're going to benefit. Now, I've had people arguing with me over for years. Meanwhile, I five-folded my money. They're still arguing. I five-folded my money. Can I take that money, use it in useful assets now? Yeah, of course, if I want to. But I don't, because that's I'm building it up. I would do what Jaron says. What does Jaron say, Kelsie?
What? Just the tips?
Jaron says that if you stay in for the long game, that's how you develop life-changing assets instead of the short game. Hey, I just five-folded my money. Okay, cool. But what if you 50-folded your money? That's life-changing stuff. Now, I know people who've done that with cryptocurrencies and changed their whole life, fly around in private jets now, everything. And they're on our side. They're not on their side, by the way. We need more of those people empowered financially, and this is a way to do that. Okay.
Absolutely. Like right now is the time to be, where are you going to be when that critical moment comes?
Right now, just for everybody, so everybody knows, right here until Christmas Eve, Saturn square Uranus. Uranus and Taurus controls cryptocurrency. Saturn's square of it pushes the price down. The two planets square up against each other in the sky, and they push down on the Earth, and that suppresses the price. That's why we're in a dip right now. My recommendation, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm a crypto berserker, is buy the dip. Be smart. When it's down, buy. When it's up, sell.
Totally. Kelsey, do you have any questions about that?
Yes. Yeah. What's that?
Does Kelsie have any questions about cryptocurrency, or do you have any input on that, or before we end the show? It's up to you, Kelsie. You're the guest. Where do you want to take this, and how do you want to close it out in terms of?
I feel like I need a rescheduled appointment for just a therapy Bitcoin. Yeah, I think we should do this out part 2. Yeah, therapy and Bitcoin. I think we should.
Dinosaurs, therapy, Bitcoin.
I want to read some of these. Bull cocky. You want financial independence? Start buying apartment buildings. You know, I'm friends with Grant Cardone. I love Grant Cardone. I love the way he does what he's doing, and I agree with you. And you have to diversify. So if you diversify means land, diversify means silver and gold. Diversify means having products like these great products that are right here that are found at
the Electric Ocean Salon in Kauai and online
at mine.
electricoceansalon.mymonate.com.
There we go.
Maybe you could make like a tiny URL, Kelsie, like tinyurl.com/.
Yes, go berserk.
You go berserk.
All right. So what else do we need to cover before we end the show? Because we've got to get on going. Okay. As we're losing daylight over here in Louisiana.
By the way, I'm a fan of helium. Somebody said I want to get a helium miner or whatever. Yeah, helium's a great HNT is a great crypto to mine. My friend Dr. Group's been mining it for years. He loves it. See, GameStop. Let's talk about GameStop for a second. See, that shows us the GameStop thing shows us that the entire stock market's rigged against you. There's no way to win at it. So we're not going to play in that game. Let's get on the crypto game where we can still win. Right? You want to win big, you can still win big. Now, I'm not saying that they might take control of it down the road. I don't think they will be able to, because the platforms that are being built right now are decentralized hubs that are under the control of nobody. And that's coming. That already exists, actually. And so that shows us that you could go into that hub as an anonymous person. You could exchange this crypto for that crypto and come out as an anonymous person. How the government's going to stop that? How's the government of China going to stop that? How's the U.S. government going to stop that? They're not going to be able to. So that's an important point. Okay.
Yeah, I totally appreciate this knowledge, and I want to learn more about everything you have to share about crypto. I think that for some people, it's like there's a spiritual line in the sand. Oh, our cat just jumped up into the roof, David. So we're trying to get him down. But anyway, we have to go. But Kelsie, you're a host. So if you want to, if I leave, you can end the broadcast all by yourself. Do you want to do that?
Yeah,
you have to come over to your computer and take your mouse and click end
broadcast. Is there any questions that anyone wanted to ask Kelsie before did you notice anything?
No, David's been looking at the comments, and while you're finishing up,
it's all about cryptocurrency. No one cares about Kelsie. They just care.
David, Kelsie is logged in as a host, so you can highlight.
What was that, Rose?
You can highlight comments if you want because Kelsey's logged in on my account as a host. So when I leave, you can take over on the comments if you want.
Okay, no, I think when we end the show, we're just gonna end the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're ending the show?
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
so.
Signing off from Hawaii.
Kelsey, close it out. It's your show.
Yoga
All
Sella, come say goodbye to everybody.
We'll see you next Saturday.
See you next Saturday on the Kelsie Electric Oceans
Therapy
show.
with, therapy with Kels.
The wettest spot on earth.
Not
Come
number
join
one
us.
or number two. She's Kelsie and Kels.
Yes.
So.
Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute and sit in my chair. I'll tell you how I became the queen of doing bomb-ass hair. On the west side of Kauai is where I stay. In the salon doing hair is where I spend most of my days. Trimming up, blowing out, feeling all cool, making sure my clients stay out of the pool. When a couple of stylists say, yo, you want food? My client jumped in the spray tan tent completely nude. I got a brilliant idea, I said as I buttoned my flannel. Let's all get on this YouTube channel. I thought about it every day until it was so clear. My clients love to talk story as they stare into the mirror. All genders, all ages, all walks of life, telling me everything from overcoming joys to the deepest of strife. This garden island might be small and not very long or wide, but the stories, they go deep and it's not easy to hide. So if you're bored at home with nothing to do, join us for an hour or two, 3 at most before we'll go too late. On second thought, nah, I'm a single mom, I ain't got no date. Ask us anything you want, we're an open book, and I'll be playing with hair to achieve my clients' luck.